Hello, welcome into another episode of the Ball Knowers podcast. I'm Jack Keating here, joined today by Chase Brostick, like always, to talk about some first 6 weeks of the NFL season review for every single team, a bit of a one third of the way recap, um, and just kind of just talking about w- what what each team has been doing this season, how they have been winning, losing, and everything in between. But before we get into that, Chase, how you doing today?
It has been a fantastic weekend for Seattle sports, man. Mariners' first American League Championship series since 2001. Just took a 2-0 lead today. Seahawks won on Sunday. Oregon lost to Indiana, but that team's
Yeah,
hurt me so many times that they can't hurt me anymore. So
and
I'm gonna
they're
take the
losing this
wins.
upcoming weekend. They're losing this upcoming weekend to Rutgers, so it's just a bad
Wouldn't
look over
surprise me.
there.
Yeah, wouldn't surprise me. We can teams wearing red. It's always a problem for us.
hmm
So it would not surprise me if that game ends up being a loss.
Um, yeah, it's the that I mean, we're not going to talk too much baseball today. Maybe at the end a little bit, but the playoffs this year. I said it before we started this episode. It's been so fun the entire time. I'm not like I watch baseball in the regular season enough to kind of know who's winning, who's in the awards, whatever. But like I'm not locked into every single game. But when the playoffs come around, I'm watching every single pitch, every single game. Like it's playoff baseball is
Hmm.
so fun, and this year has not disappointed
Yeah.
at all. Um, but all right, before we get into that, I was looking at my analytics recently because we're up to 30 subscribers now, so we're making it big. But about 50% of people who watch the videos aren't subscribed. So hit
Tragic.
the subscribe button and like the videos so I know what sports or topics you'd like us to cover. Um, and I think we could just get right into it. The two Monday night games are actively going on between Bills Falcons and Commanders Bears. So I'm watching them as we go, but it's some of our talks won't really include week 6 that much. But all right, let's just get right on into it. Um, so I sent you your list. Did you just write
Mhm.
all your like? Is yours just still in that same exact list?
Yeah, I just put it in that order, and then based on how the teams have played so far, I kind of just made like one general takeaway I have so far from each team, kind of like a sort of take based on what I've seen so far and based on where I think the rest of the year is going to go.
hmm
Um, and then yeah, I just did that for every single team.
Okay, so I did mine sort of in divisional order. So we can go to mine. We could just do it based off mine. So I started mine out with the Giants, because I have the entire NFC East. It was a random wheel that we got. I spun a wheel and we each got random players back and forth. So, um,
Mhm.
it yeah, it wasn't. It just happened to be that I got the entire NFC East. So start out with the Giants is where I was my first team. And my takeaway is that Jackson Dart and Cam Scatabo, among other people as well, might be saving Dable and Shane's job. While I don't think that's probably likely or like guaranteed to happen, I think it's certainly possible. Um, they are now 2-1 in the Jackson Dart era. Big upset win over the Chargers, lose to the Saints, and now huge upset win against the Eagles Thursday night football. That was the first Thursday night win I've seen in like 10 years. Um, and which is just like sad to say. And that was a really fun game. I did not expect to win that one. I mean, I trollingly said like, "Oh, we're gonna win," blah blah blah, but I didn't really expect to win and blow them out. Um, and yeah, I think I'm starting to turn around on my hate of the Jackson Dart pick and my dislike of the Scatabo pick. And even with Malik Neighbors going down, I still think that this is a capable offense. They're looking pretty solid so far, and excited to see the future of this team. I haven't said that in a long time, but like I'm kind of buying in a little bit where I'm for the first time in years, I'm excited when the Giants win a game. And that sounds strange, but for so long it's felt like pointless wins where it's like we need to be losing. We shouldn't be winning right now. And so I'm actually happy to be winning for once. Um I have like a few like random thoughts for every team. So like it's not just really one thing. Like I said that the entire like vibe of like New York and the Giants is completely changing since Stark took over for Russ. Like it felt like dead almost instantly when Russ was playing, and it's like a revival almost. The D line has been as good as advertised. You know, it was expected to be one of the best, if not the best in the league, and it has been. And then my last thing is that Andrew Thomas, man. So the first few weeks, him being out, really, you could see how much it was affecting this team. Since he's been back, he has been probably the best offensive tackle in the NFL this year. He is just been so good, and it's a big reason why this offense has been so productive these last few weeks is because Jackson Dart's blindside has been completely stonewalled. There's nobody even coming close to getting to him. Um, so yeah, I'm excited about the Giants' future. I think there's a lot to be looking forward to right now.
Yeah, unfortunately, I didn't get to catch the Giants game because I am reaching that part of the school year where I get drowned in homework.
Yeah.
So priorities are starting to change. But yeah, I was able to see the box score, and I was able to make the assumption that the Eagles, their secondary might be cooked,
It's so bad.
which is a
It's
take
so bad,
that a
dude.
lot of people had before the season. Is that their secondary wasn't going to be as good this year, and I've seen a lot of Eagles fans say the same thing. As far as the Giants go, I think it'll probably be a lot of up and down for the rest of the year. You know, that's usually how it is with a rookie quarterback, and he doesn't have the most stable situation now that Neighbors isn't going to be there for the rest of the season. So I am expecting it, and we've already kind of seen it be that way. Like you beat two teams who are expecting to be in the playoffs, and then lose to the Saints. Didn't play well against the Saints, so I think we'll start to see like what he can be, along with a lot of the issues that I think people expected to see before the season started. And I'm interested to see if that will be enough, like you said, to keep Dayball in town. Because I
Yeah.
mean, he's developed quarterbacks before. He was one of the main factors in Josh Allen turning into one of the best quarterbacks in the league. So
Mhm.
I think the Giants should give it a shot with him. I think he's a good coach. I honestly don't really think he's been the problem there the last couple of years.
Mhm.
So that's really what I have for the Giants in turn because they're not really a team that I can say I watch too often, and I did miss.
Yeah. I mean, there's no worry there that uh I'm just I don't think that he's been not the problem. I just think that it's like something needs to change, and maybe Dart is that change. We'll see. Dable seems to be really excited about him. Apparently, he thinks that he could be like a Josh Allen type. I don't really think so. Like the running ability is not the same, the arm is not the same, but sure, whatever. Um, I don't think it'll be enough to keep Dable around. I think like we're gonna really have to be almost 500 this season for him to stay around, or like just for Dart to show a lot of promise, which he has already. And so if he keeps up the way he's performing, like he doesn't have to keep up a 2-1 win pace, but if they look exciting, he looks good. I could see Dable staying an extra year. Um, I don't know. It's just a weird situation right now, like where I want them to win, but I also don't really see Dable and Shane being the true front office of a championship winner. And if that's the case, then like we're just gonna get put in this quarterback and coach limbo of them getting fired and like a new guy coming in and whatever. But I talked about it last episode. I don't really have to get that much into it again. Um, we can since I have the entire NFC East, I don't want to just go like the entire division by myself. So you give your first team.
All right. My first team is a team that has taken me by complete surprise this season. That is the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. And I think my take for this team is that what they're doing right now is 100% sustainable because there's a lot of people I think that are calling them overrated. Me personally, I'm not the biggest fan of Baker Mayfield, especially after he walked into Seattle and just completely throttled our injured secondary up and down the field. But
Yeah.
um, yeah, they're beating good teams. They're able to put together drives against good, like they together a game-winning drive against the Texans, who probably have the best defense in the league. You know, they're winning at home, they're winning on the road. They did all of that to start the season without probably their best player in Tristan Wirfs.
Hmm.
So to me, they've had maybe the hardest schedule in the league so far. You know, they're definitely in that conversation with like the Ravens and the Chiefs for having the hardest schedule. But
Yep.
They have just completely decimated it. Their offense has been an automatic 30 a game while being injured. Like no Godwin for pretty much the entire season, no Evans for pretty much the whole season. They haven't had Bucky the last 2 weeks. Still won both of those games, putting up big numbers against good teams. Um, to me, when I look at the rest of their schedule, they have the Lions next week. That's a game I think they could very easily win. They have the Bills, they have the Rams. After that, it's pretty much just going to be divisional opponents, and like they have the Dolphins, and their schedule looks extremely cake to me. So I could
Mhm.
easily see this team finishing with 13, maybe 14 wins. I honestly think they're going to finish as the number one seed in the NFC with all the injuries we have this year. I don't think the Niners are going to be a threat. I don't think the Eagles are good enough anymore. Um, so I think it's sustainable. I think they're going to finish the year as probably the best offense in the league. I think, their defense might hurt them in the playoffs. And I think Baker Mayfield will eventually start to slow down because I don't think he's as good as he's playing right now. But
Mhm.
um, I think what they're doing as a team is 100% going to remain the same for the rest of the year.
Yeah, I'm kind of right there with you. I think that they certainly have a ceiling of the 1 seed. I think it's kind of not maybe not probable, but it's certainly possible. Um,
Mhm.
I think it's probably gonna come down to them and the Lions. The Packers are interesting, but they just don't seem solid enough to me that they're gonna be able to close out the big games that they need to. Yeah, like you said, the Eagles I'm done with. The 49ers, once Fred Warner went down, that
Yeah.
was like there was really one straw left of, like, an injury for them to have, and it was him. I mean, it was, like, the strongest straw on the team, like, Bosa could go down and Purdy and Ayuk and Kittle and all these people, and, like, they'll still be survivable because Fred Warner is that good, but it's over for them. He's done for the season, Bosa's done, like, it seems like Ayuk isn't close to coming back. Like,
Hmm.
Kittle, I think they're gonna say he's gonna try to come back this week, we'll see. Purdy's still not back, it's just I mean, even Mac Jones is looking good, but it doesn't really matter. That team is, just battered,
Cursed.
and yeah, and so, but, I mean, that's not the Bucks. I think the Bucks have a bright future for this season, and I think there's a chance they can make the Super Bowl. I don't think that's crazy to say. Um, like, I don't think they need Baker to be some sort of god hero to win playoff games. You're gonna have to beat, like, the Commanders. You're probably gonna see Seattle again, which, I mean, I feel like everything good with the Bucks is the same thing with Seattle. Like, it's a pretty close comparison where it's gonna come down to Baker or Darnold, and I'd probably take Baker. I feel like he's been at that stage before, and he's just older. I don't necessarily love either option though. Yeah, so I just don't think that there's that many like good teams in the NFC right now. I mean, there's a lot of solid teams, but I don't think that there are any that are like super clearly the best yet.
Yeah, there's a lot of good teams in the NFC to the point where it's hard to predict who's going to come out. I think if the Niners were healthy, they would like completely steamroll this conference, but
Yeah.
that is like becoming a Philadelphia 76ers type of what if
Uh-huh.
with that
Yeah, I mean,
team.
I
So,
predicted it my preseason predictions, I had them winning like 13 or 14 games, and it wasn't because I thought they were that good. I really didn't even want to have them winning the division because I didn't think that they were the best team in the division, but I just think that they have such an easy schedule that they had no reason not to win so many games. And I mean, we're seeing with Mac Jones, he had back-to-back 300-yard passing games the first time in his career. He had like 100 and I think he had 200 passing yards at halftime. He's been
mhm.
fantastic, and to the point where people are raising or doing the whole like Mac Jones or Purdy thing, which I feel like you see with every quarterback, and usually it means that they're like cemented. Like we see it with Dak, you saw it with Lamar, or like all these different guys where it's like the second they go down for a game and somebody looks decent. But I don't know. Mac Jones looks really good. Like my thought is, could he be like a starting quarterback? Which I guess
Oh yeah,
like I
somewhere.
can. I do have the 49ers, so we can hop into that. We're not gonna go down my exact list. So if my thing for 49ers is the first thing is get a whole new training staff. I looked it up. Like their training manager or whatever it's called has been there since like 2018, 2017. Get reset. Like it's clearly he's not good at his job. Um, I think Mac Jones could be a starting quarterback in the league. Like he has shown to be um, really just a consistent game manager, and this is like the perfect system for him. The 49ers, we've seen it with Jimmy Garoppolo, and they're relatively similar, where it's just like, just a good pocket passer who's not going to turn the ball over a lot, can make the simple throws, dink and dunks. Um, but other teams can replicate that format, and I think Mac Jones is a good bridge quarterback for any team that would need a guy. That's probably going to be end up being his like outcome in this league. Um, I said Kyle Shanahan is probably is the best coach in the NFL. I think that like just with him coaching and winning games, despite all the multitude of injuries that they faced, it's really been impressive to me that he's been able to work with multiple different quarterbacks, uh, like his receiver 7, 8, 9, basically like a defense that is none of his real starters, and they were still able to be competing in games. I think this week kind of it's not a great week to bring up that point after the loss, but that's
Mhm.
just what I was thinking.
Yeah, I would definitely say Shanahan's been like the best regular season coach in the league for God knows how long. I mean, he's
Mhm.
just been putting together unstoppable offenses since he was an offensive coordinator. So, that's why they call it the Shanahan tree. Pretty much everyone from that tree has ended up being a good offensive coordinator somewhere.
Yep.
And their run game hasn't been as good as a lot of people have expected this year. They have one of the less efficient run games in the league. But Mac Jones has looked fantastic, and considering all the injuries they have on offense, I'm surprised that he has. So it's credit to like the system that Shanahan has put together, and credit to Mac Jones too that he's like able to execute because it's not like a lot of people have this assumption that the Niners system is like super easy to execute. You have to have good timing, you have to have good anticipation, and you have to be like on the same page as all your receivers
Mhm.
to make the system work. So like it's not like yeah, the throws look easy because they're open, but they're open by design, and that design includes what the quarterback's able to do in the pocket. So to me, honestly, like I'm a Seahawks fan, but so I'm not like mad that the Niners aren't going to be able to win the Super Bowl this year, but it is really unfortunate to see like just so many talented players miss another year in their prime. And, it sucks that they all have to be playing on my biggest rival because if they were all healthy, we would never.
Mhm. Yeah.
It is just such a waste of an era that this team has had that it hasn't resulted in even one championship. So yeah, that's what I have for the
Yeah.
Niners. And if I had
All,
had
all
them, I
they
would have just said
all they got was I mean 2012 that was forever ago, and then the 2022 Super Bowl appearance, was it right? Jimmy Garoppolo versus the Mahomes, was that 2022, 21?
that was 21. No, the very first one was like 2019 or 2020.
Oh yeah, I mean yeah, they won a few times, yeah.
It's been a like they've had a championship contending team for a long time. So it is just like it is unfortunate what's happened to them. But
Mhm. Yeah, I'm trying to find I can't find the picture. I saw a chart on Twitter earlier about breaking down like the rushing yards over expected and stuff like that, and like basically the EPA of rushing offenses. And CMC is like one of the worst in the NFL this year.
mhm,
As a runner, he's been just awful, but he's
yeah,
been so good as I think he's the first running back ever to get 50 receiving yards in 6 straight weeks to open the season. I'm pretty sure. Um, and so like I mean they're finding ways to utilize him despite his inabilities at his age, which is I mean that's just another example of fantastic coaching. It's kind
yeah,
of what you're seeing with Kamara a little bit too. Um,
yeah.
but all right, we can move along to uh, I mean
An
the Saints are doing
exhilarating
good, but I
team,
have the Saints. All right, who do you got?
the exhilarating New York Jets. I wrote that
Oh,
my
and
takeaway for this
6.
team is Justin Fields should be unemployed. I think Justin Fields, out of like the consistent starting quarterbacks that I've seen since I started watching football, so probably like 2009, 2010, is the worst quarterback I've ever seen in my life. Um, he's just like I don't how many years are we in now? 6. It's like 5 or 6,
Yeah, something
and
like that.
he's completely unable to process the field. He's not improved his accuracy at all. He can't throw at any part of the field. He can't throw short. He can't throw intermediate. He can't throw deep. Um, he's horrible in the pocket. He takes horrible sacks. I don't even know like what how he's managed to stay the starter. Like I guess he puts up fantasy points in garbage time every now and then, but it's like it pains me to watch the New York Jets when they're on because every single time that they drop back to pass, that the play is probably already over and that nothing positive is going to come from it. And this is just something like, and if for somehow, some way, he has managed to hold on to a fan base that believes that he could be good in the right system. And I tweeted about this earlier, where you would have to assemble the Canton greats to
Oh yeah, I saw that.
put a team around Justin Fields that is competent and like has a good offense. You would
Mhm.
like have to destroy the salary cap by 5 times whatever it is just on offense to put the offense around Justin Fields that can be productive offensively at week in and week out. So I don't know what makes people believe that he can be a quarterback for
Yep.
a team. I don't know what makes people believe that there's like some untapped potential as he pushes his late 20s. Um,
I mean, we've seen it. Aaron Glenn said in the press conference that he thinks. A reporter asked him, "Is Justin Fields the starter next week? Like, have you decided?" Or something along those lines. And he got mad and said, "Like, what kind of question is that?" Like, he questioned the reporter for questioning whether or not Justin Fields should be the starter. Like, is Aaron Glenn watching the same games as us? In this past week against the Broncos in London or wherever the hell they're playing, Germany. Um, he had as many sacks taken as completions. He didn't have a completion over 10 yards. He had 45 passing yards in the entire game, and he had negative 10 net yards. Like, that's one of the worst performances by a quarterback that was going into the game starting, finished the game starting, that I've ever watched in my life. Like,
it's
I
bad.
didn't like Fields as a prospect that much. I didn't like him in the Bears. I wasn't as high on him as everyone else. So I guess this is where I get to victory lap. But I've never thought he was that good. But this is ridiculous. Like, I mean, I thought it was pretty clear on the Saints that he was not a good passer. He was really more of a gadget runner guy, and he was good as a runner on the Saints. But like, for the Jets to go into the season thinking that he could be their 2-year starter. He's got a $22 million cap hit going into next season, so they can't even cut him going into next year. It's just like, this is just purely what you expect from the Jets, is this the simplest way to put it. This is what I would expect from the Jets to happen. I don't really know how much I believe in Aaron Glenn as a coach, honestly, and I think that there's a chance he could be a 1-year coach. I don't think it's likely because I think that they're going to write out him and Justin Fields for the 2 years, unless they are like the first pick, which I expect them to take a quarterback, whether it's Dante Moore or Sellers or Mendoza or whoever. Um, yeah, it's just dark days right now for the Jets, and there's really not much to like. Their running game has been productive, but they don't even use it enough to like for it to be truly worth it. Um, I don't know. I just think that Jets are a mess right now. That's the simplest way to say it. Do I? All right, so you just went over the Jets. Um, I'll just keep going down my list to get through the NFC East. We'll go to the Cowboys next. Um, So my take here is that Matt Eberflus shouldn't have a job. That similar to what your take was with Justin Fields. I think that this Cowboys defense, um, they might be the worst defense I've ever watched, like in my life, or in quite some time. They've been letting everybody. I should just pull up their stats so I can actually like be saying it with 100%. Sure. Um, yeah, so they allowed 37 to the Giants, 31 to the Bears, 40 to the Packers, 22 to the Jets, and then 30 to the Panthers in a loss this past weekend. They've made every single quarterback look like, have their best game of the season against them. Rico Dowdle just ran for 250 yards against them this past week. Um, there, there's like every clip you see of this Cowboys defense, the receivers are 15 yards open, and like the corners are like face down, like backwards to the receiver. Like they don't even know where they are on the field. They have zero pass rush. The run blocking is absolutely, or not the run blocking, but like the run defense has been like just pitiful. There's nothing good on this defense. Like not a single thing has been good for this Cowboys defense. Deron Bland is horribly overpaid. And Matty Eberflus just sucks simply. Um, the other things I have here is that Pickens has been just phenomenal, like I was expecting. I knew going into the season that he was going to be really good. I don't know if I expected him to be this good, honestly. Like he's been one of the best receivers in the league, but I was trying to go for him in like every fantasy league I could. I knew Dak was going to have a really good year because of the lack of running game, which was expected. That hasn't been the case. Shavante's been much more impressive than I was expecting originally. Um, but it's like their passing offense has really been spectacular this season. Even without CD, they've still stayed afloat. Yeah, Dak's balling out, and it's just this offense has been terrible. Or sorry, the defense rather. And I'm shocked that Jerry Jones made a good trade to get George Pickens. That was, who knew he could do that. That's all my takes for the Cowboys.
And you look at this team and you wonder where they could get a star edge rusher from to help them out. But
Yep.
this,
Seeing,
yeah,
seeing a lot of people say Miles Garrett. Maybe they trade for him. I'm sure
that
that
was
would be pretty cheap.
Jerry's plan all along. Get Miles Garrett for cheap after trading Micah Parsons to open the season. But yeah, Pickens has been fantastic. Honestly, it feels like their offense hasn't even really missed CD that much since he's been
Yeah,
out,
no.
which makes me like interested to see what this offense is going to look like when he's back.
Hmm.
Because I
Yeah,
don't know what the game plan.
if Pickens can consistently get open with like Jalen Tolbert and Cavante Turpin as his other receivers across the field from him, like I mean, and like dominate as a primary receiver one with no one else around to help. Like even Jake Ferguson's not bad, but it's not like they're using him so much that he's like that, impromptu receiver too. Um, this offense could be just like nuclear when CD comes back. Like this, it could be super super fun. Like must tune in every week.
Yeah, I think the Cowboys will be the best offense in the league when they're healthy. Dak Prescott is playing at a superhuman level this season. He's playing honestly as good as Joe Burrow's ever played. Um, he's looked really good to me this year.
Okay.
Did I freeze again?
Yeah, a little bit. You're good. Yeah, you said that he's
Oh,
been playing as well as Joe Burrow ever has. That's an interesting take. I don't think I've heard anybody say that yet. Yeah, I mean, would I say he's played this better this season than any season that Burrow has? I would say maybe. I could potentially buy into that. Um, that I don't know.
oh,
That's a
I cut out on that?
no. I heard you say it. The Dak's having a better season than anything Burrow's ever done.
Oh, no, I was trying to say it was as good as anything Burrow's ever done. I think that's how good he's playing right now.
Hmm.
And he's got the weapons. He's got his own little Jamar and Higgins situation going on. So I think the Cowboys. I think I said this at the start of the year, but I think it'll probably end up happening is they're just going to be like this year's Bengals, where they're probably going to be around 500 and just completely annihilate people offensively and not be able to get a
Hmm.
single stop. So I agree with you that Eberflus. I didn't even know he was their DC. I am shocked that he got hired after the incident on Thanksgiving last year. But yeah, the Cowboys. I've loved watching them just because I'm a big fan of Dak, and it's really good to see him play this well.
Hmm.
Especially with like for all the unfair media, the media attention he gets, which comes with being the Cowboys quarterback. But yeah, fun to watch them ball out, and I've had fun watching them all season. But as far as the defense goes, it is incredibly over, and it is their owner's fault.
No doubt about it. All right, who do you got next on your list?
All right. Yes, team I actually want to talk about the New England Patriots. Drake May is the absolute truth. That man is a top 10 quarterback already, bona fide. Honestly, when I watch him, I don't really see as much of like the Josh Allen comparison. I honestly think he looks a lot more like Mahomes
Hmm.
with like just the way he moves and like the weird throwing angles he has and the throws he's making on the run. Like I don't really think he has like the rushing upside of a Josh Allen,
Hmm.
but I do think that I don't think obviously he'll be like Mahomes, but I do think he could be like a top five quarterback in the league in his prime. And I think the Patriots are in a really good spot with him. I think he played really well against the Saints. I think he played amazing against the Bills, even though the box score won't really show that. Made a lot of huge throws that put them in position to score. Um, and I was high on the Patriots coming into this season. I thought they could like threaten for a playoff spot. I think I had them going like 9-8 when I officially like went through the schedules and all that stuff.
Hmm.
But I mean, to see them already at 4-2 and like to have a big win over a team like the Bills, who admittedly maybe aren't as good as we all thought they were going to be because of their defense, but uh, this team could pretty easily find themselves in the wild card, especially with all the injuries that we've seen. And I think this would be a really fun team to watch in the playoffs, just
Mhm.
because it'd be interesting to see Drake May in a playoff environment for the first time, see how he plays in that. So yeah, that's my takeaway for them though, is that Drake May is just a bona fide stud already.
Yeah, so I was really high on the Patriots going into the season. I had them making the playoffs. I have believed in Drake May since day one, and I'm very happy to see where they're at right now. I think that win against the Bills last week really like just secured to me how correct I was in my take. And even if they don't make the playoffs this season, I think it's still like sky's the limit for this future of this team. I think Drake May is very clearly one of the guys in the league. Like he's going to be one of the star players for quite some time moving forward here. And he's making like every good throw, man. I believed in him, and he's kind of surprising me with how quickly he's improved this season. If there was a most improved player, it would be him. Um, and they need to use Travion Henderson more. Ramondre still sucks. Kayshon Bootie's been really impressive this season. He's turned it on a lot. Diggs has looked good. Um, I thought Kyle Williams would have been better, but he's been fine so far. And yeah, I'm just like this is. I saw somebody tweet out that like a lot of the other young, really good quarterbacks have had their OC get taken from them when they were really young because they see like, oh, this quarterback whisper or whatever, like they just developed this quarterback, so they're gonna take him away. And like the OC is gonna go sign somewhere else. But with the Patriots, you have Josh McDaniels there, and like he is not gonna leave. He's tried that twice now. It didn't work either time. So he's staying there for as long as they allow him to. So that'll allow for some continuity with Drake May's like future, which is good for him. Yeah, but I really like the Patriots. They've been one of my more favorite teams to watch this season. And Drake May, man, he's a baller.
Yeah,
Um,
he's special.
yeah, he's definitely very fun. All right, moving along, and the Falcons look like they're gonna beat the Bills. This is scary hours for me. Um, all right,
You said you bet on Buffalo.
I did, yeah. Well, we'll
I think
see,
a
we'll
lot of
see.
people did.
Probably, dude. It was a trap line. Whatever. All right,
Bijan Robinson, man.
my next team is the Washington Commanders. Um, so a few takes here. This was a kind of a tougher team to plan for. I felt because they've had a strange season with Jane McDaniels went down for 2 weeks, so he's only played two. He's playing his third tonight. Um, and like they've had injuries across the board. And so it's been a tough team to kind of to grade a little bit. Debo has been really impressive to me this season. I didn't think that he was going to be as good as he has been consistently. Um, their secondary has been. This is really the point that I wanted to bring up. Is this Commander secondary has been just terrible this season. I wasn't expecting them to be good going into the season, but they've been even worse than originally expected. Whether it's Marshawn Lattimore, who they traded for at the deadline last season, and he was not amazing to close out last season, but he wasn't awful, and he has just not improved at all this season. If anything, he's gotten worse. Trey Amos and like Jeremy Reeves, like there's not a lot of really good players here. Darnell Savage is he hasn't been great either. I feel like I saw like Noah Igbenogany got completely just like destroyed recently. Um, and so yeah, there's not much to love with this Commander secondary, and I don't even necessarily love this team. I don't think that they have a. I know that they're 3-2, and currently they are down by three to the Bears, but I just don't love this team. I'm a little bit lower on Jane Daniels today than I was at the end of last year, um, and yeah, I'm a little bit disappointed in them. I thought that they were going to be better than they have been this season. Um, and yeah, I think their ceiling this season's lower than it was last year.
I agree. I think the Commanders were kind of due for a regression season after last year. They outperformed expectations so tremendously that I think this year a lot of teams that people didn't expect to be good are good in the NFC. And when I look at the playoff picture, there's some injuries, so I think they could still find their way in. But I think I see, even with injuries, 8 teams that I think I'd put over them in the playoff picture. Um, I don't really see them finding their way in unless they get lucky. And Jaden Daniels, hopefully he doesn't go down this CJ Stroud route of like the league figures him out after 1 year, or like his situation just isn't good enough to keep producing at that same level, whatever it is. Because
Mhm.
that would be a shame, honestly, especially after how exciting he was to watch his rookie season and how the Commanders were able to kind of shock everybody by making it to the NFC Championship last year. But like I think I caught you saying when I finally connected my Wi-Fi again, is their secondary has been barbecue chicken. Um,
Yeah,
I don't
basically,
think
yeah. Their secondary has been terrible. Marshawn Lattimore's been bad. Like it's been bad
yeah.
across the board.
I just don't think they're going to have the defense to get into the NFC playoff picture. You look at like do I think the Eagles are like a lot worse than they were last year? Yes, I still think they're going to win the NFC East. I think the Seahawks are really good. I
Mhm.
think the Rams, when they get Puka back, are going to be one of the harder teams to beat. The Vikings, the Packers, the Lions, um, and then the Buccaneers. So there's a lot of teams, a lot of competition, and I haven't looked through the Commander schedule, so I don't know what the rest of their year looks like. But that wouldn't be a team that surprises me if they miss the playoffs.
Let's see. Roma Dunze, nice catch there. I mean, they got a lot of tough games coming up. Uh, Cowboys, Chiefs in KC, Seattle, Lions, Broncos at Vikings, Eagles twice. Yeah, that's they don't.
Yeah,
I mean, Dolphins
it's
and
a tough schedule.
Cowboys twice, Dolphins, Giants. Like those are some of like the gimmies, but like, are those even gimmies? Cowboy, like it's like not really. Yeah, that's a tough schedule ahead. I don't love that for them
Well,
at
I
all.
don't think I don't think the Cowboys are a gimme this year at all, because I mean you
Yeah, they're
better be
gonna.
ready to score, which is very easy to do against the Cowboys, but you better be ready to score a lot of points if you're playing them.
Mhm. Yeah, because I mean, they've been able to score on basically anybody. Wow, Caleb Williams is diamond right now. All right, moving along past the Commanders. I want to finish this Eagles division, so I'm gonna just do it now.
Let's
I
do
want to
it.
finish this NFC East. We probably should have divided the teams up a little bit better, so we didn't have a whole division, but whatever. Um, so for the Eagles, I kind of have the same questions about Hurts and Nick Sirianni as years past. Like I know that they won a Super Bowl this past year, but that didn't really change that much of my opinion on them. Like I still kind of view them as not the best quarterback and not the best coach. Like they won more so because of a really good team than Hurts carrying this roster to a championship. And it's kind of shown that to me more like again this season where just a severe lack of a passing offense, running a really like rudimentary basic offense this season where it's just like a lot of QB sneaks and inside handoffs and like, I feel like they're not even throwing the ball that much, and when they are, it's a lot of short stuff. Like a lot of out of the backfield, it's a lot of check downs. There's not many deep shots. We've seen AJ Brown get really upset over the last few weeks and post these cryptic messages, and we've seen that with Devonta Smith, not the cryptic messages, but like getting upset. Um,
Mhm.
and yeah, I don't know. I don't love this Eagles team. I think that they obviously won a Super Bowl last year, but I really don't think that they will this season. I could see them making it, but I don't think that they're going to win the Super Bowl even if they do make it. Um, the yeah, so like limited offense, unhappy receiver core. I think Lane Johnson has taken a visible step back this season. He's still playing well, but I think I've seen players consistently be able to rush on him. I think Abdul Carter really had his way against him at times this past game. Brian Burns looked good against him too. Like he's getting pushed back into the pocket a lot more than past, where he's just like a brick wall. Wow, dude, Roma Dunze is crazy. Um, Great touchdown there, and then yeah, it's terrible secondary. Adoree Jackson's one of the worst corners, if not the worst corner in the NFL, and um, they've really suffered from that. Illegal formation, so it wasn't a touchdown. But yeah, I think that the secondary is going to hold them back. I think this offense is holding them back right now until they figure something out. Like even Saquon hasn't been good this season. I don't remember what his final stat line was in the Giants game, but I know before that he hadn't had a game of 50 rushing yards yet. So, like, I mean, he's not having the season that we expected from him. Um, and yeah, I just kind of overall am lower on the Eagles than I was, at the end of last year too.
Yeah, I mean, I think the thing with the Eagles since Steichen left has been we kind of know that the offense is pretty limited by what Hurts is able to do. But I think Hurts is still a very capable quarterback. If you let him drop back and throw, the Eagles haven't really let him do that this year,
Hmm.
and I think we saw in the games where they've been behind and been forced to throw outside of the Giants game, obviously because it didn't end up happening, but I like the Rams game in particular. We talked about this the week of that game. That the Eagles' offense looked like it was just back to normal the moment they started letting Hurts throw a little bit more downfield. And I think that is probably his greatest asset is his deep ball. I think that's always kind of been his biggest strength. He doesn't have the best arm, but he's always extremely accurate when throwing the ball downfield. And, like these just inside, like you mentioned, the inside handoffs to Saquon every single play. He's averaging like 3 yards a carry. He's not like I don't
Hmm.
even think he's on pace to break. He's not on pace to break 1,000 yards this season, which would
Yeah,
be
which is that is just insanity after running for 2,000 last season.
exactly. Which I have
That
to. I
that
don't
that
know the stats behind that, but that has to be like the
yeah, that
biggest
has
drop
to be
off
the
ever.
lowest. Yeah. He did
Um,
have 58 rushing yards this past week, so he does now
mhm,
have a game of 50 rushing yards, which is good for him.
yeah, and
Yeah, that's crazy.
like the frustration's understandable. Like Devonta Smith probably would have had like a 90-yard touchdown on a play last week if Hurts had hit him open, which is funny for me to say after saying his accuracy on his deep ball is like his best trait. You just like completely uncharacteristic Hurts throw for him to miss that.
Mhm.
And as far as AJ Brown goes, like if this season continues the way it's been going, the libraries in Philadelphia aren't going to have enough books for AJ Brown to read because he is going to get so angry that he might actually start a fight on the sideline. And I just I don't know. I found it. Someone sent me a picture of the post he had after the Super Bowl, where he was like 2 days after the win. He was saying on Instagram how it didn't really feel the win didn't really satisfy him, and then he went on to ramble about how like he feels better when he's able to intimidate other players and like impose his will on other players by like putting up big numbers. And I
Mhm.
just don't know if that's a mentality that they need on the team right now. I think Devonta Smith would be perfectly equipped to be a wide receiver one, and they could get something for AJ Brown from a team that would use them. So my question for them would be honestly, how much longer do you keep AJ Brown on the team if the offense continues to play like this? And is the offensive coordinator, does he deserve to have his job? Which my answer to that would be no. But how much longer do you think the Eagles offensive coordinator is going to be on this team? Because he has just completely sabotaged what last year was one of the best offenses in the league.
I think that they'll run it. They'll stick with it throughout the season, but I think AJ Brown's probably gone this offseason. I did see a stat about his cap hit that like he basically can't be traded this season. His cap hit's just way too high. So I don't know
Mhm.
what it is going into next season, but I would assume it's going to be lower than that. As for the 2,000-yard rushers the following season thing that you mentioned, I looked it up. So Terrell Davis had 211 yards in 4 games the following season.
Okay.
Derrick Henry had just under 1,000 in only 8 games. Jamal Lewis had just over 1,000. Like everyone else is over 1,000, like pretty much well over. So he if he's on pace to like just get about 1,000 yards, or if not even like, especially if he does play the majority of the season, it would be about the worst or like second worst season of all time, following a 2,000-yard season. Um, yeah, it's I don't know. I wasn't high on Saquon going into the season, like, fantasy-wise and stuff, because I did think he probably had a lot of traction coming on him from last season, and he was probably gonna slow down, but I mean, I didn't even think he was gonna slow down because of the terrible play calling and stuff like that. Like, I thought he was just gonna be 1,300 yards instead of 2,000, but, this is nothing, like I was expecting.
Hmm.
Alright, let's keep it moving, though. Who's your next team?
Uh, the Miami Dolphins.
Yes.
Honestly, I didn't really have much of a takeaway for this team because I haven't really watched them at all this year. My takeaway ended up being they're not as bad as we probably thought they were going to be. Like at the start of the year, I thought this was going to be like the worst team in the league. I don't think
Mhm.
they're quite that. I think they've been able to like stay in pretty much all the games that they've played. Their defense is so horrible that they can't. stop a final drive. Like they had the Chargers dead to rights last game. The Chargers had like one timeout, ball at the like 25, 30-yard line or something. And one play with a missed tackle lets Ladd McConkey break all the way down inside the red zone, and boom, the game's over. Which Emmanuel Acho, I know, was just like licking his chops waiting to tweet about Tua beating Herbert. But yeah, I think the defense is ultimately like, and I think people knew this coming into the season, but the defense is ultimately what's holding the Dolphins back from being like a mediocre team. And their offense has still looked good without Tyreek, which has honestly surprised me. I thought,
Mhm.
it would just be like one of the ugliest products in the league after that happened. But Jalen Waddle's played really well the last couple of weeks, which gives me faith that he can probably be their wide receiver one moving forward. But this team needs to heavily invest into defense for multiple years moving forward before they're going to be back in discussions for making the playoffs. And my take would be that I have been like somewhat impressed with how they're able to stay in games, despite the fact that I think their roster is completely horrible.
Yeah, I had this team going 8-9 going to this season. And they're currently 1-5. Like a couple, like you said, like a tough loss to the Chargers where you go up and you allow a last second drive. Tough loss to the Panthers, similar thing. Like a lot of close games. I think after that Colts loss, I really thought this was just going to be a brutal, brutal season for the Dolphins, and every game has been close. Like their worst loss,
Mm-hmm.
win or loss, has been a 10-point loss to the Bills since week one.
Mm-hmm.
Where like a game where you score 21, so it's not that bad. Um,
Yeah.
yeah, I think that it's just their defense is just like unbelievably terrible. And the one bright side on this team is Devon Achane, man. He is
Mm-hmm.
just like he is one of the best running backs in the league, no doubt about it. His ability to just like hit the second level and just be gone. Nobody's even going to be able to come close to him. Like once he gets in stride, he might be the fastest player in the league right now. It's
He's
pretty
definitely up
incredible
there.
to watch.
Yeah. I
Yeah.
mean, that Patriots loss too was like a complete heartbreaker of a game.
Mhm.
You get the big punt return touchdown at home, the crowd's into it, and Antonio Gibson of all people just instantly takes a kick back the other way. So it's been a lot of heartbreaking losses. It's been a lot of close losses. They could very easily have like a winning record right now if a couple things went their way. But yeah, not as bad as I thought they were going to be though, even though their record is obviously one of the worst in the league.
Yeah. How long till Mike McDaniel gets fired?
Not much
I mean,
longer. I don't think he makes it to the end of the season.
did you see the report that
Maybe
Tua said today about the players only meetings, or was it yesterday or something?
I did
He
not see
said
that. No.
he said that like they have like a leadership problem on the team because players are being late to players only meetings. Players are not even showing up to players only meetings. Um, And so, like, that's clearly
Culture
you've got a
collapse.
yeah, you've got a real problem. If you're having this many player only meetings and then people are not even showing up to them, like that's crazy. Um,
Yeah,
I
that
I think
sounds
I
like
think two is gone. I think McDaniel's gone by the end of the year.
yeah. And for a team that had just come off, a couple like the Bills game, even though it was a 10-point game, that was pretty much a close game the entire way. Like they were in that game the whole way. You have a heartbreaking loss you get blown out by the Colts, who are supposed to suck at home
Mhm.
or on the road. You get a heartbreaking loss to the Patriots at home, heartbreaking loss to a division rival on the road, and then you get on prime time and your best player's leg explodes. Like there's just like so much mentally dragging down that team that
Mm.
honestly I'm not surprised that they've kind of collapsed from the inside in.
Yeah,
But no, I did not see
they're
that report.
yeah. I don't know. They've I mean they had a player only meeting after week one. Like it's a mess right now. I think the Dolphins are headed towards like irrelevancy and being one of the worst teams in the league for a little while. Um,
Hmm.
All right, moving on along. I've got the Detroit Lions. Uh, I think that they going to this week. I think I had them as the number one ranked or number two ranked team in the NFL. Number one of the two. I think I had them as number one. Um, and they uh, they kind of disappointed me a little bit against the Chiefs. I think the Chiefs are probably the best team in the league right now. And I kind of felt that way for a few weeks now,
What
but I
else
just
is
like
new?
like I didn't want to commit to it. I don't know. Like I knew that this offense, the Chiefs offense, was going to bounce back. And we can get to the Chiefs later, but Detroit's
Sure,
looked pretty
sure.
good this season. They, despite losing both of your offensive and defensive coordinators, six other uh, coaching, they lost a quarterback coach and a bunch of other position coaches as well and assistants. Um, they've kind of not skipped a beat. They've been pretty sound throughout the season. They had a tough loss to the Packers in Week 1, and then they come back to just blow out the Bears, and they've had a couple good wins since then as well. Um, I guess they beat the what was it, the Ravens, the Browns, and the Bengals, and then they lose this week to the Chiefs. So I guess they have lost their two best opponents they lost to, but I think they look good in their win so far. And any doubts that I have about Campbell and Goff going into the season are mostly gone. I think Goff's looked pretty solid this season, and I'm impressed by Dan Campbell's ability to, with so much overturn, to be able to just keep it rolling and not miss a beat for the most part. And they've been really injured. Like this secondary is super battered up. This defense has
Ooh.
been hurt, and yeah, I think that this is a team that has surprised me in their ability to not have to stumble that much. I had them potentially missing the playoffs because I thought that they were going to really suffer, and hasn't really been the case.
Yeah, I think I still had the Lions winning the division this year. I can't remember. I definitely had them in that conversation because, a team that wins 15 games, I think losing the coordinators can only do so much when you still have like all the roster talent there.
Mhm.
But honestly, I just threw another pick.
Yeah.
uh, Dan Campbell, in my opinion, he's probably my favorite coach in the league. I don't know if he's the best coach in the league, but as far as like a leader, I think he's definitely in that conversation for just like being able to rally his troops together every single week. Um, in my opinion, they're the team that's going to come out of the NFC if everything kind of stays as is in terms of health. But
Mhm.
it's not something I'm like super confident in because, again, like you said, the two best teams they've played, I think they've looked really bad against. Like the Chiefs game, it was just even though it was close on the scoreboard for pretty much the entire game, it felt like they couldn't get a stop when they needed one. It felt like they couldn't go score when they needed it. Like against the Ravens, that was just a dominant performance all the way through on offense. Like these long drives where you're like wondering if Ben Johnson is still the OC. But
Yeah, it was like 12-minute long drives. Like it was quarter long drives. It was ridiculous.
yeah, so I'm a huge Lions fan. I'm a big fan of like a lot of the players that they have on their team. I've turned around on Jared Goff. Like, do I think he's like this elite quarterback who's like going to rise in the playoffs? No, but does any quarterback rise in the playoffs besides Mahomes at this point? So honestly, I think they have a chance, especially with how the NFC looks, and we'll see how the rest of the season unfolds. They have a excuse me, they have a lot of hard games left on their schedule. I know, so
Mhm.
it'll be interesting to see, especially this Bucks game upcoming. I think this will be like a really big test for both those teams. It's a game that I'm definitely going to want to watch because I think that game right there probably decides the one seed in the NFC going forward.
Yeah, that's gonna be a. Oh, is that a Monday night doubleheader? Don't tell me. There's no way it is, right?
Are we still doing this gimmick? Oh,
Wait,
we are
it's
on the
it's
doubleheader next week too.
damn.
The
Wait, are you
double
really?
Monday gimmick. Yeah, we're
Week
7
7,
p.m.
it's
games.
Houston, Seattle, and Tampa, Detroit. Bro, a Monday night game starting at 10 p.m. is ridiculous. The game is gonna be over at like 1:30 a.m. Um,
Yep.
that's cool.
I have to get up so early the next day yeah. So
Clash.
that game will probably end at
That's
like 10 for me, and then I'll have to get up at like 5 the next morning.
that's sick.
Nice. Awesome. We better
Two
not lose
great,
that
two
game.
potentially great games. That
Yes.
I mean, I like the doubleheader when it's spaced out correctly. Like the
Yes.
way it is right now with the Falcons game just ended. Now Commanders is still going. The Bills lose by 10 to the Falcons. By the way, that's a big win for the Falcons and a big loss for the Bills. Um, Bills could lose that division. That would be pretty crazy, but it's possible.
I don't think
As for the
so.
Lions,
There's
though,
no way.
you don't think so? I don't know. I
Their
don't know.
schedule's so easy, man.
The Patriots have a really easy schedule. I mean, they have basically the same schedule. Patriots have an even easier one. Um,
Well,
I don't know. We'll see.
wait, we just talked about the Lions. Do you have the
Yeah.
Bills? Do we
Bills
want to just
schedule, yeah.
talk about the Bills since their game just ended? We can just talk about the
Um,
Bills.
yeah. I do, yeah. Um, this was kind of a tougher team for me to write for as well. Because they didn't have they hadn't played this game today yet when I was taking these notes, and I feel like this is like a roster very similar to last year's, and so it's. I don't really have that many differing opinions than I had before, where I feel like they're still one of the strongest teams in the NFL, in the AFC especially, and they should be in the AFC Championship against the Chiefs. Like I would be kind of surprised otherwise. I don't really know who else is strong enough. Like I guess maybe the Colts, but I don't buy in them into them
No,
enough to like
no.
believe that they're going to be or like the Steelers. Like I just there's nobody really on that level. It should have been the Ravens, but
It's
it's not going to
it's
be at
really
this
like
point.
it's the Ravens if they can somehow run the table when Lamar's back, and
I
that's
don't
like
I
the
don't think
only other team with
I
enough
really I
firepower
don't think they're going
offensively.
to be able to. Like, I think
No.
they'll win more games when Lamar comes back, but this defense is still a 0. Like, they still have nothing, on the defensive side. They're all still so injured. I don't think that they're gonna be healthy enough. The Bills'
Yeah.
schedule, though, at Carolina versus Kansas City, Miami, Tampa, Houston, Pittsburgh, Cincinnati, New England, Cleveland, Philly, New York. That's actually kinda tough. I mean, not
That's actually
too
yeah, that's
tough.
not as easy as I thought it was going to be.
Yeah, I mean, Tampa's a really tough game. Kansas City is gonna be a tough game. That's with Rice back. Carolina has looked good so far. Houston's been bouncing back. Pittsburgh's looked good. Like New England again, who you already lost to. Philly at that point, like that's you're both gonna be competing for the playoffs. The only real like gimmies are like Week 18 versus the Jets, Week 16 versus Cleveland, Cincinnati. Burrow's not gonna be back by then, and Miami. So there's like 4 or 5 wins, but there's also like 4 or 5 tough games.
Yeah. By the way, whoever put together the Buccaneers first half schedule like hates the entire state of Florida because they have played the hardest schedule I've ever seen, and they have the Bills and the Lions coming up.
Yeah,
So
like going Eagles, Seahawks, Niners, Lions, which by the way, playing at Seattle and then home versus the Niners is pretty funny. Um, but yeah, and
about
then you
to
still
be
have to play the
now.
Bills, Rams. Gee, yeah, it's not a. I mean, you do get to close it out. Panthers, Dolphins, Panthers, so it could be worse. Um,
Yeah.
but whatever. Yeah. So for the Bills, I said like right now, Allen is the current MVP favorite, and James Cook's having another really good season. But there's this defense has been kind of questionable to me a little bit. I think that they aren't as good as I was hoping. I think their pass rush I was kind of hoping was going to be a little bit better. I mean, Ed Oliver's been good this season, but I think like Joey Bosa was a big hyped up acquisition for them, and um, I don't know. I think that they've beaten the teams expected, like smoke the Jets and you beat the Dolphins, which only by 10. It probably should have been even more than that. And then you look good against the Saints, which again I think like even the Saints looked better than they should have against you guys. Um, but then you lose to the Patriots, and that's a game that I think they just kind of got outplayed in. And obviously that Week 1 game is kind of an anomaly. Like they're just that Ravens game was one of the greatest games of all time. Both teams looked fantastic. Both teams were healthy at that point. So there's not really much you could talk about at that point. At this point from that game. Um, but the Bills just I guess they're kind of a little bit similar to the Eagles in the sense that feel kind of similar on them than I did last year, but just like a little bit lower. But similar in the sense that like most of the team is the same. Um,
Mhm.
and they're not my favorite in the AFC, but I think that they have the potential to take it. Uh, like they could beat the Chiefs. I just don't think they will. And I think that there's a chance that they don't even finish with a better record than the Chiefs at this point. Um,
Mm-mm.
and that's really all I have to say about the Bills.
Yeah. Um, I honestly like you said, this is a hard team to make takeaways from because like what is the point of assessing the Bills roster when we literally every single person watching the NFL this year or who's watched it for the last 5 years knows exactly how this season is going to end. The Bills are going to finish with a good record. Josh Allen's going to be an MVP caliber player. He's not going to have enough like elite receivers to throw the ball to in the playoffs, and he's going to get blitzed to death by Spags and lose an Arrowhead once again. Um, I
Yep,
don't really know. Like my
it's exactly how
takeaway,
it goes.
yeah, my takeaway at this point is going to be where is like what's the direction? Like at some point you have to make some sort of big swing. You can't just go get Joey Bosa and say, "Oh, look, we have a chance." Like you replaced the corpse of Von Miller with the corpse of Joey Bosa, and you have ended up with the same exact product at the end of the day. So, you have an elite offensive line. You have a generationally talented quarterback who's probably one of the 10 best players the position has ever seen. You have a good
Mhm.
running back. Like you have everything you need for an elite run game. You have the quarterback that you need for a good pass game. All you have to do is for once, go literally throw every single thing that you have in your arsenal to go get Chris Olave. And he will finally be able to play with a quarterback that cares about
Dude,
his
get
prefrontal
get AJ
cortex.
get AJ Brown, and like this is the best offense in the NFL. There's
Yeah,
so many
exactly.
receivers on the
Like
market right now that they could trade for.
I think the offense will continue to get better. Josh Allen, like the turnovers had to like regress to the mean at some point. Like last year, he was not turning the ball over at all, even though he had a bunch of
Mhm.
plays where you're like, that probably should have been picked. So we're kind of starting to
Yeah.
see that a little more at the start of this year. But if this team goes out and gets like an Olave or an AJ Brown, or they don't even need like someone that good, like they just need someone who's not Keon Coleman, because like Keon Coleman could
Mhm.
be fine as like a two, or like yeah, the other outside guy across from the legit outside guy. But you need someone that
Yeah.
can stretch the defense a little bit so that they're not all knowing the
Oh,
only way you can move the ball is to run.
yeah, I mean, I think, like, you could
And
even go get, like, a Dontavian Wicks or, like, a Jacoby Myers or something. Like, it could be, like, a lower end dude, but it's just, like, a
yeah,
better option.
you don't need something crazy. You just need someone reliable who can get open consistently. And if you
Mhm.
can go get an Olave or an AJ Brown, then you should be throwing everything you can at it, because the Super Bowl window is right now. You have to be able to beat the Chiefs right now. So you only
Go
have,
th go
you
throw your
know,
go throw your picks at, like, go get a JSN or something, you know?
yeah, go come give us they don't I literally don't want anything that the Bills have on their team. But
Yeah, like,
um
7 firsts for JSN, please, yeah.
their defense hasn't really looked good either, honestly. Like Milano's
Yeah,
getting
not
older.
to the amount that it should, yeah. Secondary is
Yeah, their
questionable, like, the safeties
safeties.
have been
Yeah,
alright, but, like, it's yeah, the corner group is not great. This is a unit where it's like it felt like last year was probably their best chance. I think I did say that at some point, and they still have a chance this year, but it's just like it feels like every year that they kind of wait and wait and wait, and they let a guy like Diggs go, and they just lose all these elite players. It kind of thinks that you're really relying on the you're having an elite quarterback, and you're like, our elite quarterback is enough to get us to really far runs, and then we're just gonna hope that, like, he's really good enough and the rest of the team is fine enough, like, not bad enough to lose us the game, and then, like, we'll end up winning. But, like, that's not when you get to that, like, last game or 2 in the season, championship, divisional round, whatever, like, you need to have the upper hand in positions. You can't just have, like, the non-lower hand, I guess, you know? You can't just have a non-negative.
yeah. I think this is a good segue for us to go into the team that I have next,
Yeah.
because it's the team that is going to win the Super Bowl and does have the MVP on their team, and that is the Kansas City Chiefs. Patrick
Okay.
Mahomes, I think he's been the best player in the league so far. I think even if Lamar was healthy, he's been the best player in the league so far. And I think he's like right back to that MVP level of play we saw a couple of years ago before they turned their offense into a check down machine, where all those exciting plays we got from Mahomes completely vanished. And this is without everybody's got to eat. Rasheed Rice back in the lineup. I don't think the Chiefs are going to lose for the rest of the season outside of their obviously scheduled regular season loss to the Bills before they smoke them in the playoffs again. But
Mhm.
I think they'll end up with home field advantage for the playoffs. And I think Patrick Mahomes will bring in, what would this be? Would this be three MVPs? Three, right?
Uh, yes, yes, yes.
Third MVP, I think, if he stays healthy. And then I think we'll see ring number 4, the Travis Kelsey Taylor Swift retirement tour. Fourth ring, Patrick Mahomes cementing himself as just the most unbeatable, inevitable human being in all of sports. Maybe this is excessive glaze, but I, I think
No,
I think
it's fair.
like I the league's gotten to a point where anyone from the NFC, like last year, the Eagles, the day that they played the Chiefs on the Super Bowl, I was like, I don't see how the Chiefs are going to win this game, because the Eagles are just like so much better than them as an all-around team. And really, the
Mhm.
only advantage that the Chiefs have is that they have Mahomes, and then Mahomes played horrible. But like this year, anyone out of the NFC, if they played the Chiefs, I'm picking the Chiefs to win. Anybody they could play in the AFC, the Bills are the only team that like I think even comes within a 10-point spread of the Chiefs. If I were making the lines,
Giants.
so the Giants. um, maybe it could be the Jackson Dart Eli Manning gimmick. This will be his. This will
Yes, sir.
be his. This will be his moment
His
against
Tom
Tom
Brady.
Brady. But
Yes.
yeah, I think the Chiefs are just a machine, and I think now with Rasheed Rice back, the league has kind of run out of time to have their fun with them being 3-3. And I think they'll finish the year probably with 13 wins, 14 if they finally beat the Bills in the regular season. But yeah, I don't see a whole lot more losing, and I see a lot of Patrick Mahomes highlights coming to everybody's feeds for these next few months because this team is really, really good.
Yeah, I'm right there with you. I think that Mahomes is going to be the MVP here. I said it before the season started. I believed in the Chiefs' revival of this offense, that they were finally going to go back to being non-check downs and throwing the ball deep, whatever. Rashi Rice being out for 6 weeks sucked, and Worthy missing a couple games hurt that a little bit for a while. Like they were having to do those check downs, and Mahomes running the ball for 80 yards a game where they would lose. Like that had to be the case. But now they
Mhm.
get Worthy back, and the offense has been rejuvenated with him back in the game, and then with Rice coming back next week, I think that this is going to instantly be the best offense in the league or one of the best. Um,
Mhm.
I think, like,
I
also,
agree.
like, relative because like, the Cowboys' offense is really good, but it's because they have to be to outscore the opponent or they lose, where it's like, if you did, like, a Cowboys-Chiefs game, like, I could see it being, like, Chiefs have a better offense, if that makes sense,
I
but
think
whatever.
the best way to put it would be I think the Chiefs
I
will have
think,
the most efficient offense,
is yeah,
would be the best way.
that's yeah. Yeah, yeah, yeah. I mean, right now, I'm pretty sure it's the Colts. The Colts have been really, really efficient this season. Um,
Yeah.
I think they lead the league in EPA per play, which is kinda crazy, but,
Shane Steichen,
Uh,
demon.
yeah. I mean, yeah, we can get into the Colts if you want. I think you have the Colts,
I had him, yeah, and that's what I wrote
if I'm
is,
correct.
Shane Steichen is a madman is what I had as mine because he has taken a team where before the season I was like saying like, oh, the Colts are going to go 9-8 because it's the Colts and they're the Steelers of the AFC South. And then I saw them win their
Mhm.
first couple games. I'm like, yep, this is the Colts. This is what they do every year. They have like the most mediocre team you've ever seen. And then this team is not mediocre at all.
You
Like,
you did say that before the season started, and I said there's no way that that happens.
and somehow I have undersold them because they honestly they're going to win the division. Like I think they've created enough of a gap where the Houston Texans would have to do a lot of work to catch up. And I
Jaguars?
don't know if the Houston
Jaguars?
Texans are. Well, we'll get to the Jaguars because I have a take about the Jaguars, but
Okay.
I think the Colts. Like, I think Shane Steichen should win Coach of the Year. I think he's the favorite to win Coach of the Year right now. Um,
And I had them going
and
4 and
I
13. Oof.
you had them going 4-13. I forget what I had them officially going.
Dude, I thought AR was gonna be the starter. Like, I mean, AR just got put on IR because he got an eye injury from a medical band that he was using it to
Exercise
warm up.
band.
Like, it's just like, what? That you got a broken orbital bone? That's just crazy to me.
Yeah, it's um they had Shavarius Ward get hurt before the game too, but like I don't know, they've been an absolute machine. It feels like there's nothing that can stop them. This Broncos defense, which has looked amazing against everybody they've played, looked like completely helpless against the monster that is Daniel Jones and Jonathan Taylor. So I like if you look at the rest of their schedule, who do they play? They got the Chargers coming up. That'll be a good game. Then they got the Titans, who I think they beat. They got the Steelers, the Falcons. The Texans. I think are going to be on here a couple times. They have like a pretty tough schedule, but I'm confident that they can beat like pretty much any team you put in front of them besides like the Chiefs.
Mhm.
So it'll be interesting to see if this team translates to the playoffs. Like as far as the 5-1 teams go, who do I think is more sustainable? I definitely think the Bucks are more sustainable than the Colts are because at some point Daniel Jones is Daniel Jones. Like you can't just fake being bad for that long as a starter and then still be starting the very next year and suddenly be amazing. I do think it is more so the system, but um, I do think that they will finish like near the top of the AFC, and I do think that Shane Steichen deserves to win Coach of the Year.
If they finish like that, if they finish like win their division and you know 12 wins or something, 11 wins, then I don't see how you don't give it to them. I don't really know who else would be in the conversation to like deservingly win it. Like maybe I mean Liam Cohen would be up there, but I think it really comes down to who wins the division, and then like I guess you don't think like Mike McDonald could win it if Seattle's really good.
I think if Seattle and the Colts both won their division, it would go to Steichen because I think people expected the Seahawks to be good this year, but I don't think people expected the Colts to be
Yeah, I mean I
like
had
a
Seattle going
division
eight
winning
and
type of
nine.
team. Yeah, I think everyone pretty much had Seattle around like 8 to 10 wins, pretty
Mm,
much what we've been at the last 3 years. But like people, like most people did have the Colts as like a 4 or 5 win team because like their roster didn't look good at all. But
yeah,
it has played way better than the names on paper, and the system I think is just. I mean, it's the most efficient offense in the league. It's the best system in the league so far. So, um, yeah, I
yeah,
think
you're not wrong.
I think they'll end up winning the division. I think it'll just be interesting to see how well that translates to the playoffs because the
Mhm.
AFC is no joke when it comes playoff time.
No, not at all. We could stay in the AFC South. I've got the Tennessee Titans. Just a couple takes here because we just had the firing of Brian Callahan, their head coach, this morning. Um,
Hmm.
and I mean, they looked pretty terrible against the Raiders this past week. Cam Ward, especially, did not look good at all. Even though this season, I feel like he's looked pretty solid this year. I haven't really hated the tape that I've gotten to watch of him. I think that he is more a victim of like the situation than it is like him being the problem here. I think the receiving core is really bad. The O line has not been good. I mean, put simply, like the O line's been really bad, run blocking wise and pass blocking. But Cam Ward's taken a lot of unnecessary sacks, and the defense hasn't been great either. There's just a lot of problems here. I mean, the play calling has been terrible, and them firing Callahan after. I mean, he came in as a former OC, and then he gave up the play calling duties this season because it was so bad, and he gets fired anyways. There's just a lot to not like on this Titans team. I think that they'll probably finish as the worst team in the league, or like second to
100%.
worst, if not the worst. It does just feel like there is like a different, but the teams that were expected to be bad, them, the Saints, the Giants, the Browns, all of the teams, Giants, Saints, Browns, I would comfortably take to beat the Titans in a game. Dolphins, like
100%.
this is pretty comfortably the worst team in the league. I do think that this is like if they get the first pick, they don't have to take a quarterback. I think Cam Ward is good
Hmm.
enough to not have you blow it up after year one. But it's just it puts them in a weird situation again, firing their head coach uh the same year that they hire a new GM for like the third time in a row. Um and yeah, it's just the Titans are in a weird situation. They got a bad future, like immediate future, but with some good drafting, you potentially have your quarterback of the future. I think that he has shown flashes throughout the season. Um, but yeah, it's just nothing notable good wise to talk about.
Yeah, I don't really have much to say about the Titans. Their roster is completely void of talent. I think if they were to pass on Cam Ward after this season, that would be one of the most disgusting GM decisions I've ever seen in my life. I think they 100% need to focus on getting a receiver. They need to focus on getting everything, but like a
Hmm.
receiver is priority number one. Um, to get like just to get Cam Ward like some sense of stability. I think we've seen so many of these quarterbacks. Like we're seeing all these guys come back and they're in a good system all these years later, and all of a sudden these guys who were horrible when they were playing on these horrible teams with no stability are all of a sudden good now that they have it. And I think Cam Ward, I hope Cam Ward doesn't become a victim or become one of those guys where he has none of this stability in his first few years in the league. People give up on him, and then it takes him all these years afterward to find a situation that actually fits where he has the team around him that he needs, and then I
Mhm.
think we'll be able to see him thrive. So I think Tennessee has a franchise quarterback. I think Cam Ward's going to be a good player, and I'd be pretty disappointed in them if they gave up on like one of the only good things they have going for their team right now. But I do think if it weren't for the luckiest win I've seen in I don't know how long against the Cardinals, this team wouldn't have won a game this year because they are just truly completely void of talent, and it's one of the worst rosters I've seen in a long time. So
I don't disagree. I think Tajay Spears looked decent this week though, which is cool, I guess. Um, that's the only
Spears,
yeah.
yeah,
He wasn't
I mean,
awful this week, which is
you
a
got to
bright
take
thing,
what
I
you can
guess.
get when you're a Titans
Um,
fan.
all right. You got the you said you want to talk about the Jaguars, so let's hear it.
Yes. The Jaguars. I think this is the most overrated team in the league right now. I think their defense is first in takeaways so far this season, I believe.
Mhm.
It's won them a lot of very close games. I don't think that's
DeAndre
going to sustain.
Swift. Sorry, go
What
on.
happened?
He
What,
just
what
like
happened?
DeAndre Swift broke a crazy tackle, went up the sideline, scored a touchdown. But
Oh
go on, go on.
shit.
55-yard receiving
Oh,
touchdown.
55 yards. I think they're going to falter off. I think they'll finish under 500. I don't think they're
Mhm.
really going to threaten. I think they'll finish below the Texans and the Colts in the AFC South. I think the Texans are going to kind of start to turn it around. Hopefully not next week, but everything after that. And yeah, the Jags are just. I don't really. I'm kind of out on Trevor Lawrence. I kind of have been. I was kind of like going into last year is when I was kind of like, this is where it's at. Like this is kind of your chance to prove yourself. Didn't happen. This season, I'm thinking, okay, he's got Travis Hunter now. They haven't really been using him like I thought they were going to use him, which I don't know if Shane Waldron's like how much he has to do with the offense, but Travis Hunter's like literally playing exactly how JSN did as a rookie, where he's
Mhm.
just like catching bubble screens and very rarely running routes past the sticks. And then Brian Thomas has whatever he's got going on, but um, yeah, I don't really like their offense that much because I just don't really trust Trevor Lawrence, and their defense I think has played amazing so far. I think Devin Lloyd's been amazing, but like at some point Devin Lloyd is not going to give you a huge defensive interception that wins you the game every single game.
Mhm.
And
Yeah.
I think they've gotten lucky in that aspect so far. I don't think that will continue. And I think just roster wise, they're not going to be good enough to stay afloat with a lot of the teams that they're going to have to play going forward. So I think they'll be a lot worse. And I think I had them finishing like 8-9. I think they'll finish probably around that at the end of the season.
You said they're 8-9 by the end of the season.
Yeah, I'd probably have them like 8-9, 8-9,
They're
9-8, around
wow,
there.
they're 4-2 right now. I mean, games
Get
against
ready.
I don't. It's not the toughest schedule. They still have the Titans twice. You've got the Jets. Got the Cardinals. Got the Raiders. There's some wins there.
Texans. We'll see.
I
I
don't know.
see. We'll lose to the Broncos. They'll lose to the Colts twice.
I feel
Lose
like
to the
we kind of saw the
Texans. They'll
the
lose to the
bounce back of
Chargers.
BTJ a little
Rams.
bit as of late. I feel like he started to build his confidence back up, and I think Travis
He
Hunter
had some
started
pretty
to.
big.
What do you
He
say?
had some pretty big. He had some pretty big mistakes that cost them the game on Sunday.
Yeah, I mean he's still dropping the ball a lot, and like misrunning routes and stuff. But where he was at in the beginning of the season, like not even getting the ball like much at all, it's like promising that he was able to score a touchdown right this past week and like get the ball more. So it's not like he's back to like top 10. Let's go. He's back, but I think that he's the fact that he could show it at all is kind of what is promising a little bit here. Maybe it's not all lost. But yeah, I mean, I'm not super high on the Jaguars. I don't love Trevor. I think Cohen's been a really good coach so far, though, and ETN's looked really good this season. Um,
mhm.
I don't really have anything else to say about the Jaguars there, though. Uh, we can go to the team that they lost to this past week, or sorry, the team that I mentioned that they're going to be playing soon, and the team that the Titans lost this past week, the Raiders. Um, Geno Smith was the worst signing of the offseason, without a doubt. Like, just absolutely awful. I should let me pull up that contract because I think it was what was it? 3 years,
40,
100?
45 billion a year, 40 million a year, something like that.
45 billion, you said?
Million.
Um, so Geno Smith is on he signed a 2-year, $75 million extension. Um, yeah, and so it's basically 2-year 75 on top of the 1-year 25 he had left. So yeah, he's got 2 years at least on this contract left. It's a terrible contract, terrible contract. And he's had one game of 0 interceptions this season. Every other week has been like 2, 3, like just multiple interceptions. It's been bad. Um, and this O line's been terrible. To put it simply, the pass rush has been like just bleeding right through, and Gentry's been getting hit every single play behind the line of scrimmage. Um, this defense has been bad. Like just it's kind of similar to the Titans. Like just everything on this Raiders team has been really really poor this season. Um, Bowers got hurt in week 1, and he kinda, like, was dealing with it for a couple weeks and didn't look that good. Even, like, despite the injury, I think that he just didn't look that good. Like, I know he's injured, but it still was weird, so he's now sat out 2 weeks in a row. We'll see if that can help him get back to, what he
Mhm.
was doing last year. It kinda feels like it's a lot of play it's kinda like the scheme and play calling too, though. Um yeah, this Raiders team just doesn't look good, and they're quite some time away. I think that we probably I was talking to somebody about it earlier today. I think we probably see Geno be the starter, or at least in competition for the start next season, because they just like there's so much money invested into him. But if they do go with the Geno start next season, we see Geno and Pete Carroll both fired, or like cut and fired at the end of next season or mid-season next season, because I mean, I feel like it's pretty clear this duo is not we're done. Like Pete Carroll's we're done with him. I said it like
Yeah.
10 years ago. I wasn't even his last like 5 years with Seattle, I didn't even like him. I didn't think he was a good coach anymore. And uh, Gino, I feel like nobody's writing to you anymore. Like they're not even writing back. Nobody wrote at all. Like we're writing you off. We're done.
Yeah,
No writing for
it's
Gino. Yeah.
with how well Gino played the last 3 years in Seattle, this is like something I just completely didn't see coming. Um, I thought the Raiders were going to be like one of the 10 best scoring offenses in the league this year.
Yeah,
Absolutely
I
not even
kept
close.
saying, like, mini Bengals, mini Cincinnati, like, it was gonna be a fun team, and they've just
Yeah.
sucked, to put it simply.
I had them I had them going 9-8. I had them as the 7 seed in the AFC. This team will be picking top 7 in the draft, but they will not be anywhere close to the playoffs for the foreseeable future because their management continues to make just like some of the worst decisions ever. I don't think the process of getting Gino was a bad one because I think a lot of people expected them to be good coming into this season, on offense at least. But with how bad he's fallen off, and for the coach to be Pete Carroll, who is just ancient and needs to retire, there is it's just like and I have a roommate who's a Raiders fan, so, like, I'm, like, more in tune with the Raiders than I am, like, the average NFL team that sucks, but
Mhm.
this team is so, so difficult to watch because they will do like, some of the throws Gino has made this season are some of the worst throws that I've ever seen in my entire life. I'm wondering, like, what they even work on at practice all week because the offensive line still doesn't know how to adjust, which means Gino just either has given up, knows he's got the bag, and doesn't care about adjusting anything anymore,
Mhm.
or they actually just don't know what anything means. Gino doesn't know how to read the field. He doesn't throw up the seams like he used to. He doesn't like make these even attempt these explosive throws anymore. He'll like
Yep.
see that a curl route is double teamed and try to rifle it in between two people who are completely smothering a receiver that's never going to get open. Ashton Genty's like the only glimmer of hope that this team has, and he's annihilated 3 yards behind the line of scrimmage every single time he gets a handoff. And
Yeah, and
Brock Bowers, who is
he
the only
still
other
finds his way to get back to the line of scrimmage every time.
Yeah, like Genty is an amazing player. I think he'll be perfectly fine once he has a serious team, but he might have to leave
Mhm.
Vegas to do that. So, and Brock Bowers, the only other shining light on the team is hurt and like completely uninvolved in the offense even when he's healthy. So, this team's just a mess. They should
Yeah.
trade Max Crosby to the Seahawks for a 4th round pick and
Trade him
There's
to the
just like
Giants.
that. That would be the best management decision that they've made is giving Max Crosby to the Seahawks. But other than that,
A Max Crosby,
I
Sam Darnold swap. Maybe throw Geno in there too. That would work.
will take Geno back. We'll fix him. No,
Sam
please don't
Darnold's
bring me
been
Geno
sorry,
back.
Sam Darnold's been way too good to say that.
Yeah, Sam Darnold's been fantastic. He's been better than Geno was the last 3 years, which is saying a lot because I thought Geno was,
Yeah.
especially those first 2 years, just one of the best quarterbacks in the league. So,
Um.
um,
Speaking
yeah, no
of
more of the Raiders
speak,
though.
yeah, yeah. No more Raider talk. Speaking of Seattle, we haven't talked about them yet. No.
Yeah, let's talk about them. My takeaway from what I've seen so far, we're first in DVOA, which the Dwayne Johnson hand meme, us using our
Hmm.
DVOA to beat the Chiefs. We will. I think we're a couple of pieces away from being the best team in the NFC. Um, I think Anthony Bradford is like single-handedly making our offensive line look bad. I think if you take him out and replace him with like any average, not even NFL player, just average like 300-pound human, we would be an instantly better team.
Okay.
Um, he is. I have never seen one player have so many screenshots where they're facing the wrong way on a play.
Hmm.
He will always be facing the quarterback on a run or a pass play. It doesn't matter. And he just like does. He like will double team random players. But I've already ranted about Anthony Bradford before. We don't have to do this again.
Hmm.
Ernest Jones is the only good linebacker on our team. Tyrese Knight, he got benched last week. Drake Thomas was playing. Drake Thomas also sucks. And behind him is like I think his name's Pat O'Connell. Like we're getting into special teamers at that point.
Yep.
So this team needs another linebacker. Which last year I had a bunch of Seahawks fans tell me we should trade for Devin Lloyd, and I was like, no, Devin Lloyd sucks. Devin Lloyd doesn't suck at all. He's amazing. We should have traded for him. It would have been fantastic. But um, like any type of linebacker you could get at this point, like even like Demario Davis. Like people keep mentioning Saints players for trades because they should just trade all their old players while they still have time.
Yeah.
But like a
They're not
Demario
going to.
Davis would
They'll
instantly,
trade Kamara and only Kamara, I bet, or if they even do that.
yeah. But like a
Yeah.
Demario Davis would instantly turn this into like a top three defense in the league because like
Mhm.
there is a very obvious gap. And then just secondary depth because the injuries to our secondary have completely destroyed what is normally one of the best coverage groups in the league. I have my fun with Tariq Woolen. He is not even a microcosm as bad as the people that weren't able to beat him out at practice. Jeremiah Pritchett didn't play last week, but what he did against Tampa Bay was nothing short of terrorism. And Shaquille Griffin is still employed. So he was also bad against the Jags. And Josh Jobe is like, he had a great start to the season, but he's not that good either. So Witherspoon and Woolen have been missed. Julian Love, I think, is one of the best safeties in the league. He's been very, very badly missed. So overall, though, the Seahawks, I think we're like one guard, one linebacker away from being the best team in the NFC, especially with how weak it's looked this year. And I think we'd be like a true threat to win the Super Bowl if that were the case.
Um. Yeah, I think Sam Darnold's really surprised me. I didn't think I was low on Seattle going to the season because I thought Darnold was just not going to be that good, and I thought the O line wasn't going to be that good, and like the pressure was really going to get to him, and I didn't think you were going to have the receivers to really like help him out enough. And I mean, JSN has to come onto the scene to a level that I wasn't expecting. He's the best 3 level receiver in the league this season.
Mhm.
He's extended the field more than anybody by far this season. Like he is the one man show on this in this receiver core. Cooper Cup's been okay,
He's
but
been
it's
pretty
like
good for us recently, but it has
yeah, yeah,
definitely been
better than okay. But like I
JSN.
mean, I think the first like 6 completions in this past game was all to JSN. Um,
Oh yeah, our first 117 yards, all JSN.
Yeah, like that
He
that's
is
just that's
ridiculous.
I mean, he's a one-man army and he can do that. Um, yeah, but I like Seattle. I think that they have a high ceiling, and if Darnold's gonna play this well, I think that there's a potentially likely chance we run into the same situation that the Vikings did last year, where you get to week 18, it's the winner go home, essentially a playoff game, and Darnold shits the bed because he can't, the lights are too bright. He can't rise in the big moments. Um, That'll probably I feel like that probably ends up happening again, because like, the Vikings have a good enough coaching staff that if that weren't to happen, it would have not happened with the Vikings. Um, but he potentially can be a really good regular season quarterback, and I guess I'll give him one more chance before I fully say that he's like a playoff dropper. But I don't really, I'm not holding out hope that he's gonna
I
elevate.
I honestly think Darnold will be fine. Um, I think the offense is a lot more simplified than it was for him in Minnesota. I think he's getting through his reads a lot better than he was in Minnesota. I
Hmm.
also think like the games they had against the Lions and the Rams, they just had horrible game plans going into those games, and they're like not having Christian Darrisaw also killed them against the Rams. Like they literally could not block anybody on their team. So, and that's not to say that the Seahawks have like this offensive line that's going to stop the Rams. We'll probably lose to them twice this year because that's what we do every year. But I think Sam Darnold honestly has like elevated his play to another level this season. He's been the most efficient quarterback in the league. You know, at pretty much any efficiency stat you look at, Darnold's going to be top three in, and
Hmm.
he's doing it really with only one guy to truly throw the ball downfield. Like Cooper Cup's a guy that's really not getting far downfield. AJ Barner's been good, but again, he had the one big catch against the Jaguars, but that's like probably the deepest catch he'll ever have in his career.
Hmm.
And across from him, Horton's still unproven. So you know, it is a Shanahan offense, so it is a lot easier to operate than probably even what he was doing in Minnesota. It's probably the easiest job he's had, but I think he's executing it at like a near perfect level, and he's shown a lot better play extension than I think I saw in Minnesota as well this year. I think he's handled blitz better. I think he'll be fine in those moments. I just don't think we have enough at pretty key positions to make it out of the NFC. Would be my take.
I completely agree with you with everything you said there. Um, all right, moving on along to another NFC team. The team that Sam Darnold actually last played for is the Minnesota Vikings. My take is that if they have better quarterback play, this is a Super Bowl team. I feel like we kind of knew that a little bit going to you don't think so? You don't think that they can make a Super Bowl run with a better quarterback?
Oh, like with a better quarterback?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
I thought you meant like JJ McCarthy playing better.
Oh no, no,
Um,
no. I mean, if McCarthy
I
played
mean,
better,
yeah.
they like. I guess maybe you could say that about a lot of teams, but I think like this team is pretty well rounded. They got a good run game. Their offensive line with Darisaw has been better. They have a great receiving core, obviously, and then their defense has been really great. But it's just like the quarterback play is so abysmal that they are hard capped at like a low ceiling. Carson Wentz is not good. JJ McCarthy was not good in the few starts that he had early in the season, and I mean I am excited for him to come back because like they really needed him to get as many reps as possible this season if they wanted to be contending this year or maybe next year. Um,
Mhm.
so these weeks of him being out really does hurt them. But I just think that this is a team that's capped hard by the lack of quarterback play. I when I was thinking about it, I in my notes I said that their offensive weapons are the best that they've had. The Vikings have had since Randy Moss and Chris Carter. Is that would you say that's a hot take? I mean, I don't think that's probably pretty regular. I think
The
it's
best
like
that the
two.
Vikings have had? I
Yeah,
mean,
like I don't really know. Like
yeah,
I
I
try
mean
to rack my
they're
brain
better
and
than
like
Diggs and Thielen. Like
yeah, Diggs and Thielen or like
that would be the
Preston
only
Irvin.
other.
Like yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Um. And so yeah, I think that they need McCarthy to play well when he returns, but until he does,
Mhm.
like it's just a little bit of like just floating, like trying to just like survive. And even when he comes back, it still feels like they're kind of surviving because I don't even think McCarthy is like necessarily that much better than Carson Wentz. I think he probably is better, but like it's not much like that you can even bring up to like point out like he's so much clearly better at this, that, and the third. Um, yeah, this is really just a quarterback situation. I think like the coaching is clearly really good. Like they've been able to win games with a lack of quarterback play. But yeah, that's what it comes down to.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, the way I see it is basically just saying the Vikings have like one of the best rosters in the league outside of quarterback, which I would agree with. I think they're very well coached. I think they have one of the best coaching staffs in the league. But I think honestly, if they had just held on to Darnold, they would be perfectly fine this year because I think Darnold has gotten a lot better this year. I think if he had done that on Minnesota, they would be
Hmm.
on their way to winning the NFC pretty comfortably. So yeah, I would agree with that takeaway. I think McCarthy, like you said, is going to like pretty heavily cap this team. I don't think he's going to get better.
Yeah,
I just
I
think
didn't
he's
like him in
really good.
college. I didn't like him as a prospect. I didn't like the draft pick. I
Yeah,
understand why they did it, but I think yeah, keep holding on to Darnold. I mean, I understand why they didn't because I was also in the camp of like let Darnold walk. I don't think he's going to be that good, but if he was that good for you once, he could be that good for you again. And they messed that up. I mean, they kind of messed up going on like potentially letting Kirk walk. I guess they didn't mess up there because he tore his ACL, but or Achilles, whatever. But like they had a good situation there. They moved on to Darnold, which was another good situation, and then they messed up that new good situation by drafting a rookie who in like a win now situation, and he's not a win now rookie. He's a guy that you wanted to hopefully let sit. Um,
yeah,
yeah.
I agree. Yeah,
Um,
it's a rough situation for AJ, and it's just I don't know. It's going to be like if there is a team where he could be successful, it would be here. But I just don't think he's got what it takes to be a player at this level for a long amount of time. I think we'll probably see him being a backup as soon as next season. Honestly,
wow, that's kind of a hot take. I think
yeah,
that he'll still
I
be the
just
starter
it's
next
gonna be
season,
bad.
but I don't know how much longer after that he'll be a starter. Dodgers beat the Brewers 2-1. Take game one.
Of course they
All
did.
right, moving along past the Vikings. Who's your next team that you've got? We've only got a handful of teams left for each of us.
Let's see. I've got how many teams do I got left? I got 8 teams left.
You have
Let's
you have 8 teams left?
Yeah, I think we doubled up on your end a couple times because the way the conversation was flowing. So
Ah,
we can bang out who's the team we can talk about here. A couple teams we can talk about here quickly. We got the Bengals. My takeaway for them is just like trade Hendrickson and like there's no reason for you to keep Trey Hendrickson. I imagine Trey Hendrickson probably isn't going to want to stay, and there's a lot
oh,
of
he
teams out
he
there
is
who are
100% gone this offseason, like without a doubt.
yeah. There's a lot of teams out there who will give you like decent value for him, so you might as well trade him for something while you can.
Mhm.
The way they've constructed this roster, one of the most poorly, just like brain dead roster constructions I've ever seen. They've invested all of their hope into this like Joe Burrow, Jamar Higgins, save me approach, and of course that isn't going to work. So, and Burrow gets hurt, which makes it even worse than that on top of everything. Um, so I think it's time to trade Hendrickson. And honestly, I wouldn't bring Burrow back this season because it's already going to be over by the time he's
Oh,
healthy.
no, of course not. Like, this is like bringing Tatum back for the Celtics. Like, it's just like, don't, there's no reason to rush Burrow back. The season is over the second he went down. The O line is so bad. Like, you're just going to get him even more hurt. I don't even know what I want the Bengals to do moving forward. Like, I want them to get an O line, but I want them to get a defense. Like, I liked that Super Bowl team they had, where they had a really
Mm-hmm.
fun safety duo. They had good defensive line. They had a good linebacker core. And their O line was serviceable. Like that was a complete team. That was a high flying offense. It was a fun team. And
Mm-hmm.
then to pay your offensive guys, you just let your entire defense go. You let your entire offensive line go. I mean, it's not a way to build a team at all, and I feel like they've learned it pretty clearly. Burrow is an injury-prone quarterback, and you can't put an injury-prone guy behind a non-O line. Um, yeah, totally though trade Trey Hendrickson because like there's no reason to keep him. He's gonna walk for nothing. You could get a third rounder, second rounder, maybe at the most. Um, yeah. Do you have another
And
team that you want
then
to go through quick?
the other team we can just kind of
Hmm.
quickly go over is the Panthers. I it's like impossible to tell how good Bryce Young is. Um, like he'll play like garbage for a majority of the game, and then like right when the Panthers need to turn it on offensively, he's there. Rico Dowdle is like what the hell is this is like the running back version of what Josh Gordon did in Cleveland.
Hmm.
Where just like back to back 200-yard games out of nowhere from a backup. So I
Now,
don't really have any faith in this team, though.
I did say that they were going to be 3-3 by this point of the season. So, I Bryce Young, I had them winning the division at 9-8. This is a team that I'm very fond of because Bryce Young is my goat. I just traded for him in the dynasty league. I don't know if you like in our dynasty league. I just traded for Bryce Young and James Conner for a second rounder in 2027. Um, Shout out to DJB. He's really stupid. But yeah, this is a sorry. I mean, I don't want to interrupt you for any of your points for this team, but what you said about Bryce Young is kind of true. Like it's tough to see him like every week. He's either really good or really bad, or not even necessarily really bad, but it's either like he finally has a really good game, or it's like okay, I'm not really sure. You had some questionable plays, you had a few good plays there, and then like you have a couple questionable games again, and then you have a really good game again. And I mean, he looked good against the Cowboys, but it feels like everybody's looked good against the Cowboys. So it's just like how much can I really read into that? Um, but I feel like this season he has improved on from last year, which is like what they were hoping for.
Yeah, I think Canales is a coach you have to kind of keep around long term. I think his run game is, looking really good. And
Mhm.
if there is a coach that Bryce Young is going to develop under, I think it's going to be him. Their offensive line's been banged up. I know they lost Hunt. I think they lost Lewis as well. So they get those guys back. The run game's going to get even better. Um, I had them going 10-7, winning the division. With how the Bucks are playing, definitely not going to happen. But you know, there's a lot of season left for them to like try and make a wild card push. I don't see them being a playoff team anymore,
Mhm.
just because again, I
Probably not.
can't really. I like Bryce Young to me is the hardest quarterback to assess in the entire league. Um, so I will have to see how the rest of the season unfolds. But I'm kind of just getting frustrated with every week, just the inconsistency that there seems to be with Carolina.
I agree. It's also a severe lack of receivers, though. Them losing Coker, like I think that this offense could have looked really solid if Jalen Coker was out there, and for him to be out through 6 weeks now has really hurt them. I think he should be coming back this next week. We'll see because they said that he was going to come back this week. Um, but I think that'll add a lot for this offense because like Xavier Legette is not a receiver two in this league, and Adam Thielen and like all these guys that they've rotated in and out of that position just are not the guy that they need. Um, so yeah, I'm excited to see what he could do. Obviously, you just saw Rico Dowdle back to back 230-yard rushing games. Like he's like top three in rushing in the league now. It's kind of insane. Um, yeah, like you said, they're able to facilitate a good running game consistently. I'm interested to see if Chuba Hubbard, how much he's gonna be able to win back his starting job after back to back crazy performances by Rico. It's gonna be hard to imagine that they just like give the keys right back to Chuba Hubbard after he wasn't performing amazingly this season. But he is still a really good running back, so I don't think that you can just like not get. I mean, they also paid him too, so that you can't just like say like, "Oh, tough, you lost your job off 2 weeks." Um,
Yeah,
yeah, I don't really have anything else to mention from that team. I forget what his name is, but their center who's come in replacement of all their injuries they had, he's been pretty good, which is cool.
I'm not
And
sure.
their what's the tight end's name? Tommy Trumbull and Jatavion Sanders. They've been decent this season. That's all from the Panthers. All right. Moving on here. They played tonight. The Falcons. Big win against the Bills. Um, Trading away
Big win.
last year's first round pick to the Rams and to trade up for James Pierce and blanking on it. Uh, uh, shoot, James Pierce and it was James Pierce they traded up for, but they also got Jalen Walker in the first round. That's what I was talking about. Um, that was obviously a risky decision at the time. I was, hesitant of it. I ridiculed the decision because I thought that it was kind of hasty and like they didn't need to do that. But it's worked out really well for them. They both played well this season, and their defense has been completely reset from the previous seasons where they were not very good at all. Their defensive line is finally playing well. They have a real safety duo in uh, oh my god, my brain is turning off now. Jesse Bates. They have a really good safety duo on Jesse Bates and Xavier Watts, the Notre Dame third round rookie. Xavier Watts has been amazing this season. Like he's been one of my favorite players to watch in the NFL. He's been really, really good this season. Um,
Mhm.
like the way that they've been using him as the deep safety and not um, Jesse Bates because they trust Watts so much as a rookie has been really impressive to me. Bijan's been amazing this season. Like he's the best running back in the league, probably. I mean, he just had that 80-yard rushing touchdown tonight. Like he looked awesome tonight. He's had a dominant season. Kyle Pitts has bounced back this season to have a somewhat resurgent season. Still not amazing, but it's like better than what we've seen in the past. And I'm still not sold on Xavier Penix or Michael Penix, not Xavier Penix. Yeah, I'm still not sold on Penix. I think that he's kind of shaky. He's a little questionable, but he's been like somewhat up, somewhat down. I just don't know what his real ceiling is. That's all my takeaways.
Um, yeah, I think for the Falcons, winning this game was really big. Their start to the
Huge,
schedule is really
huge.
tough, but their second half of the season is going to be like sorry, their start of the season was really grueling. The second half of their season is going to be much easier. And excuse me, I think Bijan Robinson is one of the five best running backs we've seen this century. I think he's about to be like just an absolutely he already has had, but I think we're just gonna like, especially with how much easier their schedule is gonna get, we're gonna see some like unreal all purpose yardage from him this season.
Hmm.
Um, like what did he finish? He finished with 238 total yards on 25 touches that game,
Hmm.
averaging 9 yards a carry and 11 yards per catch. So 68 receiving yards, 170 rushing yards. He's like right up there with McCaffrey as far as receiving backs go. It feels like he has all these big plays out of the backfield. He can get open down the field. He's explosive runner in space. He's an explosive runner, behind the line of scrimmage. He's pretty much impossible to get down the first guy who goes at him. You need to get two guys on him to bring him down because he's just too shifty. And I think he is going to like single handedly be able to backpack the Falcons through the rest of their season. And I think honestly, with like you've mentioned, a lot of their rookies have stepped up in them defensively. Pierce especially has been really good for them this year. Um, excuse me. I think they're going to have a chance to make the playoffs. I think they're another one of those teams that's going to be in like that top 10 range where it's
Hmm.
going to be like a lot of like 9, 10 win teams at the bottom of the NFC. Um, Fighting for those last wild card spots. I think they're going to be one of those teams since they won this game. I think this was kind of like a really pivotal game for them. It was kind of going to determine which direction their season was going to start going in. So to win this type of game on prime time, I'm pretty shocked that they won. And I'm pretty excited about what the rest of their season is going to look like. Even though I do agree with you that Penix is, I'm not quite sold on him. I don't think I ever will be.
Yeah, I don't think I'm ever going to be either. But like whatever. I think that it. He's good enough right now that they can compete. I just don't know what his true ceiling, like what their ceiling is with him. But whatever. All right, I've got like five teams left, and a lot of these I can kind of roll through. At least like a few
Yeah.
of them. But let's hear a few of yours. Who's your next team?
I'll have five more after this one, so we'll just get the Cardinals out of the way because this one's easy. I think the Gannon experiment has to be done, especially after punching a player on the sideline. It's been like 3 years in a row now of the Cardinals preseason gimmick where people think this team is going to somehow compete in the NFC West again when they have been the punching bag of this division for the last however long since Kyler had like that first breakout season. But
Yeah.
Gannon is just he like doesn't have control of his emotions. I think we've kind of seen a little bit of it over the years. There's a lot of clips that started getting posted from past seasons where people are like, "Oh, it's just fiery passion," and then he punches a player, and you look back and realize, no, this guy just has like anger control issues.
Yeah, he's a little
You can't,
psycho.
yeah, you can't be a leader of a team. Like it's okay to be like a controlled psychopath where you're like, I love football so much that like a Dan Campbell type of
Hmm.
psychopath where he's like
Yeah.
talking about biting people's knees off. Um, Gannon, I don't know. That's just like not how you lead. That's not how you lead by example. That's not how you get people to want to play for you. And like, yeah, his player made probably the dumbest mistake we'll see a player make all season. I think AD Mitchell did it too earlier this year.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah.
So like, yeah, it's something that happens. It's a stupid play, like just run into the end zone, but you gotta try to like be reconstructive when you tell a player that they've made a mistake instead of not making him not want to play for you ever again. So I don't know. I think it's time to get rid of Gannon. I think the Cardinals are terrible, and it's gonna be another ugly year for them because it's I don't know. It feels like they've been stuck in this spot for a while now.
Yeah. I'm. I don't really have anything disagreement. I think the question I'll raise to you is this Kyler's last year with the Cardinals?
I don't think so. I think Kyler's still good. Um, I've definitely gotten lower and lower on him as the years have gone on, but I think he's still good enough that with the right coach pairing, I think he will be good enough to get a team to the playoffs. I think they have a lot of young talent on their defense. I think next year their defense definitely is going to be better than it is this year. I think
Hmm.
Birch is going to be good. I think it's Walter Nolan is his name that they got from Ole Miss. I think he's going to be good.
Yep.
Will Johnson is already a stud. I think he'll
Yeah.
be a top 10 corner by next season, if
And
not the end of this season.
they've got a good D line. I think that they are the most efficient defense this season. Um,
Are they?
yeah, I mean, at least before this week, I know they were. I don't know if they still are.
Yeah,
Um,
they ran into the Steichen Mobile, the battle
yeah,
of the Eagles' former coordinators. But
yeah,
um, yeah, I think it's just time for Gannon to go. I don't think that guy can lead a team. I don't like the way that he leads.
I
And
agree.
I think without him, a little bit more of like a because doing something like that in the middle of a game tells me there's probably more stuff happening like that behind closed doors. And I think a culture change could be what the Cardinals need with all the young talent that they have to kind of turn things back around and look a lot better next season. So I think they'll get rid of him this offseason, and uh, I think the Cardinals will be back to being a playoff contender next year.
Yeah, I mean, I had them being a playoff contender this year, potentially making the playoffs, but what do I know clearly? Bears kicking a 38-yard potential game winner here. We'll see if they
I
make
have the
it.
Bears. Oh, Jake Moody,
Moody,
he's got
38-yard
it.
attempt. You're going to be ahead of me, and I assume he made it based off what you said. The kick is up and good. It almost got blocked for the second time this game. The Bears win. How exciting! I did have the Bears winning that game. I don't think the Commanders are that good. Whatever though. Last few teams, let's get through it. New Orleans
I
Saints is my next team up.
oh
Um,
boy,
and this is an interesting team. I think like so. Obviously not a good team. They've been like sort of contending in some games that you maybe didn't expect them to this season, but they're not really that good of a team. 1-5, their only win coming over the New York Giants. Um, and the few things I could say about this team is like Spencer Rattler's looked pretty good this season, which I really did not expect. Gamecock legend Spencer Rattler. And so yeah, I didn't think that he was going to be that good this season. I thought I was surprising that they didn't go with Tyler Shuck, but I mean, I see why they did that now, and clearly it's why I'm not a head coach because I thought Daniel Jones starting was a bad decision. I thought Rattler starting was a bad decision. So clearly they know something I don't. But Rattler's looked good enough that I think that there's potential for him to be a franchise guy. Maybe not like a true top 5, top 10 guy, but he's got the potential to be like a top 15 true starter in the league. Um,
yeah.
and you got a big decision coming up this offseason with you're gonna have a top pick, and it's you've got Rattler, who let's assume that he keeps playing this way. He looks pretty good. I think it's good enough for it to be your franchise guy moving forward. But you just drafted Tyler Shuck at 40th overall in the second round this past draft, and then you're gonna have let's say second overall pick, third overall pick in this next draft. What are you doing? Are you taking a quarterback? Are you taking like I don't even know what direction they go in here. Um, so yeah, that's just and then I also have Rashid Shaheed has been pretty good this season. I've liked what he's shown me so far. But that's all my takes. So what do you think that they do in the draft? Because that's really what I'm thinking of.
I honestly don't know. I think it's going to depend on what Rattler does for the rest of the year. I think this upcoming quarterback class is terrible. So if Rattler continues to play like this,
It's good enough
I
that they
think
like
that
just stay the course.
yeah, I think you just stick with him for one more year, and then if next year it's like, all right, Rattler's like he's decent, but he's not going to be good enough to be a franchise guy, then maybe then you start looking at quarterbacks. But I think you give this a little more time. The Tyler Show pick, I will never understand what the process was there.
Hmm.
Like I don't know. I got nothing for that. So as far as who they're going to pick in the draft, I think it's too early to tell for me. Um, but defensively, they have they didn't play well last game, but they ran into Demon Drake May, so that's understandable. Jonas Stanker, their safety, I think has looked fantastic so far this season. I think he's going to be a really good player for them moving forward. Um, Kool Aid's looked good this year so far when I've watched him
Hmm.
play. I
He
think
got
they've
cooked a
got
little bit a few times in this past game I saw, but he's been good other times. Yeah.
Yeah, I like some of the pieces they're putting together. I think they're going to have to try to build that D line a little bit because they got some old guys on that D line. Cam Jordan's still pushing strong at 45 or however old
Yeah,
he
man.
is, but
Shout out to Cam Jordan, dude. He's been impressive.
yeah, it'll be interesting because I really thought the Saints, like a lot of people, I think thought the Saints were going to be like clear worst team in the league coming into this season, but I think they're definitely bad, but I don't think they're going to be like top five pick bad. I think this is a team that could finish with like 4 wins. I could see them finishing with like 4 or 5 wins as the second half of the season goes on, especially if Rattler ends up being like their franchise guy. I think he'll probably continue to get better as the season goes. They've lost a couple of games where they were a couple plays away. They could have easily beat the Patriots, who are a good team.
Yeah,
Um,
they do have a couple easy games here. 2 games against the Panthers. You got a game against the Dolphins. Um, you got a game versus the Jets. You got a game at the Titans. You still play the Falcons twice. So that's yeah. I mean, you play like the Bucks twice, Bears, Rams. Like there's tough games for sure, but a lot of
yeah.
those games are certainly at least winnable, and that's when you're a team this bad, you'll take that.
Yeah, I think I don't think they'll finish in like the top end of the draft. So maybe that will kind of answer some of the questions for them quarterback wise. Like if they do end up in that situation, that probably means they will stick with Rattler. But
Hmm.
maybe if they do just finish the year with like 2 wins, 3 wins, that probably
Yeah.
maybe that does mean Rattler was playing bad, and maybe they do look at that. So I think it'll just take more time to tell where they're going to go with it. But
Yeah, it sucks to see them draft a quarterback at the 40th overall draft pick, not start him week 1 through 6 weeks. It doesn't look like he's going to have any chance to start anytime soon, barring like a Rattler injury or dramatic fall off. So
mhm,
like you, and then you're going into next season. Either the decision is to draft a new quarterback, top of the draft, or stick with Rattler. You're not just going to like switch it all of a sudden going into next year if Rattler has played enough, like well enough to earn the job. So like you're just wasted the pick. It almost reminds me of the Bucks taking Kyle Trask, where it's like I knew that pick was a third round pick, right? And it was like we all knew that
mhm.
he was not going to be a good quarterback, and it was a what like way too high of a draft pick. And I mean, even if you drafted him in the 6th round, I still would have thought that Kyle Trask was a bad draft pick. And with like Chuck, it's the same situation where it's like you drafted him too high. Kind of anywhere would have been bad, but for that to be a top of the 2nd round pick, yeah, whatever. We're just spending too long on the Saints. But it is an interesting situation moving forward for them. A few teams left. Who do you got next?
I'll talk about the Bears since their game just ended.
Okay.
Which, funny enough, I am going to make a negative take about them. But I think that people are jumping the gun on Caleb Williams, like having his breakout or whatever. I think he's played a lot better than he did last season, and I don't really think it's like a Ben Johnson caused growth. I think he just looks more accurate. I think he already looks improved from week 1, where I thought he played pretty poorly against the Vikings. Um, but like I see people like already launching him into like these like top like 12 or whatever combos where they're like, oh, he's a star already. I think we have to pump the brakes on that a little bit. I do think there's still a lot of flaws in his game. I think, I do think he has improved, but he's still not that good in the pocket when it comes to holding onto the ball too long, taking bad sacks. I don't think I don't think he processes the field at like a good enough level to be considered a star quarterback yet. And I still do think his accuracy isn't good enough to consider him that either. But there are the flashes there, especially the throw that he had against the Cowboys to Burden, where you see like those are the type of plays right there, those big plays, those throws that only so many quarterbacks in the league can make. Um, that show you that when he does put it all together, he is going to be on that level. So I think the assumption that comes all the way back from when he was being drafted, where he's getting these Mahomes comparisons and everything, that assumption that he's going to walk in and be the star quarterback right away is kind of why people are so quick to jump the gun on situations like this. But
Hmm.
I don't think there's actually evidence on the field that shows him being that yet. And I don't. They could easily happen by the end of the season, but as we stand right now at the end of week 6, I don't really think that's the case.
Um, yeah, I don't think the Bears are going to be competing for anything real, like too real this season. Um, but I mean a big win today against the Commanders, and they've picked up a couple good wins so far this season. I feel like I mean that game against the Cowboys, they really surprised me. I think that Caleb Williams has looked good, and that's I mean 3 wins in a row now. So they're building off of the opening loss versus the Vikings. That was a tough loss, and then uh, blown out by the Lions, but. 3 maybe middling to easier opponents. They've all been close wins as well. So the Cowboys win
Mhm.
was 17-point win, but back-to-back 25 to 24-point wins over Raiders and Commanders on the road both, but, 2 teams that you should not have to struggle that much against. Um, Not the toughest schedule coming up. I mean, Saints, Ravens, Bengals, Giants, like, those are some 4 winnable games there, so you could see the Bears really competing here. Um, I just saw a stat at the end of that game that said Caleb Williams is the first Bears quarterback to have 200 passing yards and 1 touchdown in the first 5 games of the season, which
He
is just insane. That's even a
is
real stat.
going to finally break the curse of 4,000-yard Chicago passers, I think. He will finally be their first ever 4,000-yard passer.
You think he's doing it this season?
I think he will. He's averaging, what is it now? Probably averaging
About
like 240 yards a game.
yeah,
I think
about
that's
that.
enough to hit
Yeah,
4,000 in
maybe
17
a
games.
little under. Yeah. Um, I could see it. What is this? This is him at 927. Is that accurate? No, that's
4,080
the
if he were to hold a 240-yard pace is what he would get to. So,
yeah. So he's going to be about 4,000 or just under. I wouldn't be surprised if he gets like 3950, and people keep making the joke about not having a 4,000-yard passer. Yeah, but he's looked pretty good this season, and their
mhm.
receiving cores look good. Roma Dunze really, man, Roma Dunze is one of the best in the league. Like he's going to
Yeah.
be one of those guys, and that's pretty clear. Luther Burden's looked pretty good. DeAndre Swift hasn't even looked that bad. I would like them to use Colston Loveland a little bit more. It's been disappointing to see his usage when he has been out there.
Mhm.
It's been very limited, so that's been disappointing. Um, but yeah, I don't really have that much else to say. The defense is underwhelming. They should trade for Trey Hendrickson. Not that I expect them to, but it would make sense if they did.
Mhm.
Yeah, and Ben Johnson's been pretty good so far. Um, all right, keeping it moving to the AFC West, the Denver Broncos. Um, my take is that and Bo Nix he's taken a step back from last season, and
Shocker.
yeah, I know he's your guy because he went to Oregon. It's his childhood favorite quarterback is Bo Nix here. You have 4 jerseys in your closet, but uh, yeah, he hasn't looked good this season. That's to put it simply. He's taken a clear step back and felt like maybe it could have been like a he was surprised everybody. He was a lot better in his rookie season than I was expecting. Um, it feels like he regressed to what was expected coming out of college, what he kind of showed in college. He's throwing more turnovers now. He's been less accurate. His pocket presence feels like it's just like overall across the board. He's really just gotten worse, which it is very strange. You see sophomore slumps, but not in this way. It feels like he's genuinely like gotten worse at football rather than just going through a slump. Um,
Mhm.
the lack of usage of RJ Harvey has been kind of disappointing to see. I think that at this point I was expecting him to be a little bit more a part of this unit, especially considering he's not like 21. I think he's like 23. So he's not like that young of a rookie, especially for a running back. Um, and overall, the offense has just been kind of disappointing. Evan Ingram's usage hasn't been what I was hoping. They were hyping him up to be like some huge gadget guy for them this year, and like he's only had like one really good game.
Yeah.
Um, and like the defense has been good, but even the unit hasn't been as like overwhelmingly dominant as was expected going into the season. I feel like PS2's been good, but I feel like I've even seen him lose more reps this season than I have in the past. Nick Bonito has been really really good.
Mhm.
Um, that's really all I have though.
Yeah, I mean, Bo Nix, like I thought he sucked last year, and I think this year is kind of just the reality of who he is as a player. He's a painfully inaccurate player, and I've never seen this many open deep balls missed to start a season by any player that I've watched. Not even like Justin Fields is this bad. So,
Hmm.
um, yeah, I'm not a huge fan of him. I wasn't like when I thought he might win me a championship at Oregon, I was a fan, and then reality set upon us that when we played a good team, it was over. So it is just the reality of Bo Nix. I do think the Broncos have a good enough team to kind of make that a non-issue for them. I think their defense, especially, I think Nick Benito is definitely like a worthy defensive player of the year candidate so far. Um, but as far as the Broncos go overall, my main takeaway will always be that Bo Nix is just going to continue to hold them back from maximizing what they could possibly do with their roster. Similar, almost in a way, to the Vikings are, where you have this really loaded team, and you can make Bo Nix look pretty during the regular season, I guess, because your offensive line might be the best in the entire league. But at the end of the day, it's just you need a guy behind under center that can hit throws in big moments of a game and can make big plays downfield. And I just don't think Bo Nix will ever be that guy.
Yeah, what you said about the O line is really like another thing that kind of stood out to me because if this O line wasn't as good as it is, they probably aren't. I mean, not even probably. They aren't 4-2, and like they've had a pretty easy schedule to be fair, but they wouldn't be 4-2, and like the limits of Bo Nix would be even more obvious because like they would be glaring at us at how much he's getting sacked and his lack of like good pocket presence and stuff. Because
Hmm.
I feel like he's even forced a lot of sacks on his own. Um, it kind of reminds me a little bit of like Tua, like the Broncos situation, like with like Bo Nix and Tua, a little bit. I hope that they don't give Bo Nix that massive contract that he's gonna eventually ask for. Um,
I
but
think they will,
luckily,
and I think they'll
luckily they've
regret it.
luckily they have seen his limitations earlier on than the Dolphins did with Tua. So like maybe there's hope that they won't. Um, whatever though. Moving on
Mm. All
to
right,
I think I
we
got
can
three teams
do
left. So who do you got
the
left?
team the Seahawks will play this week. The Texans, I wrote that their takeaway for this season so far is this week will be their litmus test. I think we're going to kind of get to see Monday night how good this team actually is. They really struggled to open the season, but you can only take so much from the first few weeks. And then they have these two huge bounce back weeks, but you could argue that it was against the two worst teams in the league. It was the Titans and the Ravens with none of their defenders and no Lamar Jackson. So, um, I think the Seahawks will be the first time all season where they faced like a really, really big test. They did have to
Mhm.
play the Buccaneers earlier this year, and they did end up losing that game. So I think this is another chance for them on prime time to kind of show like, hey, we have the best defense in the league. CJ Stroud is not done. This is still like one of the better quarterbacks in the league. This would be their chance to prove it. Seahawks are looking like a dominant force so far this season. Pretty much every advanced stat has them as one of the best teams in the league. They're probably going to be healthy this upcoming week. A lot of guys that have been out for a couple weeks probably make their return to our secondary this week. So I think this week will be the deciding factor for me on what I'm going to think of the Texans for the rest of the year. Because if they come out and they just look flat and they lose badly, not a team I think I'm going to be able to get behind for the rest of the year when they've lost to the two best teams that they've played so far at home on prime time. But if they come out and win against a team like the Seahawks, then I have faith that they could come back and maybe win a divisional game against the Colts and find themselves back in the conversation to win the division potentially. So I think it can go a lot of ways depending on how this game plays out, and so that would be the takeaway for me is it's the litmus test week for them.
Yeah, I think these last 2 weeks for them, we've seen them two dramatic blowouts versus the Titans and the Ravens. Two of the worst teams in the league, though. So it's like, how much can you really read into that? I mean, it's good to get back on track after starting out 0-3, but I don't know. I mean, we know they Texans have a really good defense, but this is just it's a little bit alarming to me for you to only be able to beat these two teams. So, you play Seattle, you play the Niners, you play the Broncos, and then you play the Jaguars again after losing to them in week 3. That's a good
Mhm.
4-game stretch here to get back on track, and then you play the Bills a few weeks later, Colts, Chiefs. There's a lot of good teams on this lineup here that they're gonna have to go up against this season. So they've got a lot of tests left. I mean, Seattle is just the first one of many, but they have a lot of tests left on this schedule that I mean, they could win this division and go into the playoffs looking pretty solid if they look good against these Bills and Chiefs and whatever other teams they play. But I don't really know how much I'm buying into it. I still don't love CJ Stroud. I'm still a little skeptical on him. It's really this defense that is making me believe that they could win some of these games because it is such a special unit. But
Mhm.
the offense, I don't know if I can get it behind enough to fully believe in it. Staying in the AFC though. is the next my third to last team is the Los Angeles Chargers. Um, Herbert through the first like 3 weeks or so was my MVP. I feel like a lot of people's MVP. He was just like lighting it up, and then the Chargers kind of took a dip after that. They lose to the Giants. They lose to the Commanders pretty badly, and they pick up a big win against versus the Dolphins this week. That was an absolute must-win game for them. If you fall to 3-3 and like 0-3 in your last three, that's like you're headed really in a bad direction. Um, I thought Herbert looked all right this past week with a severe lack of weapons. I mean, Quentin Johnson was out, Hampton was out. Like Ladidi McConkey really had to step up big for them. And uh, shoot, who was the Oh my god, I'm blanking on his name now. Let me pull it up. Kamani Vidal. He was a big pickup for them, or a big like start for them this week. I thought he was going to be the guy over Hassan Haskins, so that's my claim to fame here. I got Vidal in a couple leagues rather than Haskins. Um, and yeah, I mean they've been riddled with injuries so far this season. Khalil Mack had like a gruesome elbow injury, and
Hmm.
like both their tackles have gotten hurt. It's just been brutal across the board, but they've been able to stay the course and survive through it. As for their like championship aspirations, I think died with Slater going down, but
Hmm.
um, I think that they are still a team that can compete this season and maybe make the playoffs. Probably not win a game. Like I mean, depending on who they play. They could beat a Texans or a Jaguars, but maybe Pittsburgh, right? But like outside of that, if they're playing any of the other top teams, I don't love their chances. Um, I don't really have much else to say here. Aronde Gadsden's looked pretty solid this season.
Syracuse legend, great
It's
player.
true. It's true.
Um, yeah, the Chargers. It's kind of just been a theme with them ever since I've started truly watching them since Herbert was picked. But it's kind of been a theme if you talk to anybody from their fan base forever. Is like this team is completely cursed and like one of the unluckiest franchises ever. Could see it again this year. Khalil Mack, Joe Alt, Hampton, Slater, Quentin, like so many injuries stockpiling on this team to key positions and key players at those positions that it gets to a point where like it's just too much damage done to the team overall for the people that are left behind to kind of keep the boat afloat. Um, I still think they'll be a playoff team. I wasn't really high on them coming into this year. I thought the Slater injury would hurt them a lot more than it would, but now there's like even more injuries than there was before, and
Mhm.
maybe
Yeah,
they can kind of
Joel going down.
yeah, maybe they can kind of get healthy towards the back half of the season. But no matter what, Slater's not going to be back. Alt's going to be out for a while. Like I don't know, it's going to be hard for them in the middle of the season to kind of pull out wins against teams, and they're going to have to try a lot harder against teams that they probably weren't imagining they were going to have to because of all the people that are missing on their roster right now. So I don't know. It could be a very not ugly because they're going to lose a lot, but just like a lot of ugly wins for the Chargers this year, trying to scrape past teams on their schedule.
Yeah, I feel like I'm looking at their schedule now. Still have the Titans, Raiders, uh, Cowboys, Jaguars. I mean, there's like Vikings. Like there's, I mean, like middle of the pack teams. They do have like Chiefs, Eagles, Colts. So there's not the easiest games either, but there's a few winnable games for sure. Um, I think that they'll probably end up sneaking into the playoffs or be the first team out, but like nothing
Yeah, I
to
think
write
they'll
home
still get
about.
it. Yeah.
All right, few teams left.
All right, got three more on my side. Let's talk about the Packers. They're second in the NFC right now. I still think they aren't as good as I think we all thought to open the season. I think when the season opened, a lot of people were like right away, the Packers are coming out of the NFC with how dominant they look to open the year. They get the game against the Commanders, and then they had the game against the Lions to open the year where they just looked unstoppable. And I do think they have a really good team. I do think they'll be in the playoffs. I don't know if they're going to win the North. It's going to be between them and the Lions. Obviously, they have that first game over them already, so it'll be interesting to see what happens. But Micah Parsons, like stats wise, hasn't been impressive, but I think his impact is still felt pretty clearly when he plays. I think their
Hmm.
defense is going to be perfectly fine. I think ultimately the issue for this team, like a lot of people predicted before the season, would be their lack of receivers. And there's still a lot of time for Matthew Golden to kind of break out as that true bona fide number one. But I just don't know if this season it's going to happen. And if you have a chance, especially with how open the NFC is looking right now, with the Niners being hurt, I think it would be worth looking at going out and making another trade to try and get a receiver. You don't really need anyone that crazy. You have a lot of depth on your team, so
Yeah.
I mean, you
I
have
think they'll
pieces to move.
probably I think they're gonna end up relying on Christian Watson coming back to be, like, that spark plug for them at the end of the season, which he won't be, like, he's not even that good, plus coming off a ACL or Achilles or whatever it was, like, it's not making me feel very hopeful that he's gonna come in and be, like, a 80 reception yards per game guy, like.
Yeah, it's gonna have to be. I think it's gonna have to be Golden breaking out, or they're gonna have to go get somebody. And I think Golden will be good. I think Golden has potential to be good. I just don't know if he's that championship wide receiver one that you need right now.
Yeah, I agree.
And I think that's the only thing they're really missing to having a fully complete roster that could really put them over the top. And I think I'd have them pretty easily winning the NFC if they got someone that was a little more solid than him.
Mhm. Yeah, I think, like, Romeo Dobbs has been decent, in spots this season, and then, Tucker Craft has been really good this season, but you need some more than just them, and, like, you need, like you said, a true receiver one. That defense has been pretty elite, though. They've been pretty for real this season, and getting Micah Parsons, like you said, like, stats haven't he isn't getting 8 sacks a game, or I mean, that's like, he doesn't have 8 sacks this season or 7 or anything yet, but, I feel like he's been very productive. He's gotten, like, doubled every single play, it feels like. And so in his roles, he's been able to affect the game in a different way than just getting on the stat sheets. Um,
Mhm.
all right, moving on to my second to last team. I've got the Pittsburgh Steelers. Man, I don't know why my camera keeps going just out of focus randomly, but whatever. So the Pittsburgh Steelers, they surprisingly to me are 500 this season. I did not expect that to be the case. Um, I thought that they were going to end up being. Let me see what I had. 4-13 this season. I thought that they were going to be just terrible. I thought Rodgers was washed. I thought the 500 gimmick was over. Um,
It's
and
never over.
it's never going to be over. Like, they're going to go 500 until the day I die. I could be the starting
Yep,
quarterback. They would still find a way to win. Um,
absolutely.
yeah, and they've been impressive wins. It hasn't just been like, like, I feel like in years past we've seen these Steelers teams get like gimmick wins and stuff, and it really hasn't been the case. Rodgers has looked good. They've like really dominated over some teams so far, and like this Browns win this past week, they really just dominated them for the most part. Um, they like big wins against the Patriots and Vikings earlier. I guess the Patriots one was a little bit of a gimmicky win, but like if you force the other team to fumble a bunch, then fair enough. Um, yeah, I feel like Rodgers has looked really solid, and the defense has been great. The trio of T.J. Watt, Nate Airbig, and shoot, what's his first name? Highsmith. Um,
Alex Highsmith.
yeah, Alex Highsmith. Thank you. They've been a really good trio this season. This has just been a like this D line has been blowing people up all year. The secondary with a lot of older guys, Darius Slay and Terrell Peppers and Jalen Ramsey, like they've been really physical, and they've been a really stout unit this season, which has been cool to see. Like the Steelers bring back that defensive identity that they've had in years past. And then lastly, DK Metcalf, man, I didn't think he was going to be as productive as he has been. He's been really good this season. Uh,
Hmm.
like a lot of good passes from Rodgers this past week. I don't know if you saw the one up the sideline where it was like just
Hmm.
an unbelievable. Like that was an unbelievable pass and a
It's
great catch.
prime Rogers right there.
Yeah, but DK's had some great plays. He had the like 80 something yard, the longest touchdown in London history um last week.
Yep.
And yeah, I think he's impressed me too. Overall, this is just it's been a good unit this season.
Yeah. I love DK, man. I'll never have hate for DK. I miss him. I wish he was still on our team, but I had someone tell me that's biblical levels of greed earlier because I have JSN. So, I'm happy to see him uh, playing well this year. He's having a career year. He's on pace for like 1,200 yards and 14 touchdowns right now, which, yeah, touchdowns are a pretty volatile stat, so that probably won't last. But Rodgers is playing really good. And I think a lot of people, because of their preconceived notions about Rodgers in New York, are kind of like done with him. Like he's washed, he sucks, but he's playing a lot better than he was in New York. I think he's playing, probably back to like not anything crazy, but like back in like that top 15 type level play.
Mhm.
Um, and that's all the Steelers really need. And I kind of accepted as a fan a long time ago, which is why I was surprised when I heard your record predictions at the start of the year that the Steelers and the Colts will just never ever be bad. There's just something about those two teams where they were never allowed to be bad. And yeah, so but I think the Steelers will be better than their usual 9-8 this year. I think this is a team that they're probably going to win the North. Not probably, they are going to win the North with how far behind the Ravens have gotten.
Yeah, people
Uh,
keep wanting to say when Lamar comes back, and I said it earlier in this episode. I don't. I hope so, man. I hope they come back. Lamar comes back and leads them to the playoffs and wins MVP. That'd be
well,
historic and amazing. But I
the
think
MVP
even
has
yeah, the MVP
left the
might be
building, but
the MVP might be too far away from Lamar. But I think that it'd be great for them to make it and to win the division, whatever. But it's just the Steelers would have to have a dramatic fall off, and the
yeah.
Ravens would have to get very healthy because even just adding Lamar back, it's not going to be enough. Um,
Ramsey has still looked amazing this year too. Like he played pretty bad in the Seahawks game, like coverage wise. He got targeted
yeah,
11 times and allowed like 130 yards, but he still had a pick in that game. And he's just like you said, playing super physical, really good in run support. Just always seems to be in the right place at the right time. And that kind of just comes with the experience and like how he was a top corner in the league for so long. And I still think he's like one of the top corners we have in the league. He might not be like that top 5 level anymore, but
mhm.
he's still a great corner, and he's been a huge plus for them this year. You can notice the difference in their coverage from last year. So
Yeah.
yeah, I
I
think the
want
Steelers will win the North, and I could honestly see them winning a playoff game if they get one at home.
maybe I kind of wanted Jalen Ramsey to switch to safety this season because I figured like his speed was not really there anymore, and maybe his coverage skills weren't there anymore. But I don't really think he's gonna have to do that maybe at all in his career, and if he will, like not for a little while, because like you said, he hasn't really shown that amount of like slowing down like maybe that he did a little bit last year, which I guess you could kind of say was him just was not buying into the Dolphins situation and like their lack of winning. Now he's on like a real defensive, minded team that he can buy into. But I'm done talking about the Steelers. You've got two teams left. I've got one. Who's your second to last team?
All right, I've got the Los Angeles Rams, and excuse me, my takeaway for this team will be there's a lot more holes on their team than I thought there was. I think I had the Rams winning the NFC West. Um, I honestly think the Seahawks, with the Niners being this hurt, are the best team in the division now. And just because, like, I think the D line, the Rams were super hyped up before the season. I don't think it's played up to that level so far this year. I think their linebackers are still a huge hole for them. I think their secondary is still a big hole for them. Stafford's been amazing. Puka's been like best receiver in the league caliber. Devontae Adams is playing great. So I don't think their passing attack's an issue at all, at all for them. But their run game, man, Kyron Williams, I just don't think he's a very good player. I wouldn't be surprised if he's not starting anymore by the end of the year. Really, really sold them the game against the Niners. You know, Fumbled on the goal line, 4th and 1, gets blown up. And it's not all on him. They don't have the best offensive line in the world, but he's been a guy who just like his vision's inconsistent. The Rams always seem to have a running back that has a fumble problem, and I just don't know if he brings you too much of that high end stuff when he is in open space that would make him like worth keeping around as a starter. And that's not even to say like Blake Corum's this amazing running back. I don't think he's very good either, but I think they got to try something else. And I don't know. There's just a lot of holes on their roster. I think they're still good. I think Stafford and that pass attack are definitely good enough, and their pass rush is definitely good enough to still get them to a playoff spot. But I don't think I'd have them as better than the Seahawks anymore, even though I do think they'll beat us because they do own us. But
Yeah,
yeah.
going into the season, adding Devontae Adams and like I feel like a lot of people had them winning the NFC or like that was enough to finally beat the Eagles. They were so close last year, and like this would get
Hmm.
them over the hump. And I feel like they kind of taken a overall step back a little bit, like kind of like what you were
Hmm.
saying. I do think I would have Seattle being better than them, and if the Niners had been healthy, I would have had the Niners being better too.
Oh,
Um,
easily, yeah.
so I mean, there's still a lot of time in the season. The Rams could bounce back, but time isn't really on Stafford's side in the career sense and in like a season by season sense. Where like the more snaps he plays doesn't really make me feel better, especially with that
Yeah.
back injury he went into the season with. Like it's why I was really low on the Rams going into the season. But Puka's having such a crazy season. And JSN, I mean, I feel like it's undermining how crazy of a season JSN is having, the season that Puka is. And so it's cool seeing that like that receiver battle, and I'm excited for those Rams Seattle games to see those battles go down. 'Cause those are gonna be some highlight games. All right, hopping back to the AFC North. Um, my last team is the Browns, and it's kind of an unfortunate one to close out with because they suck, man. Like this
Yeah.
team stinks.
Sure
Um,
time.
the defense is really, really good. Like it's fantastic. The defensive line is like just completely shuts down the run. It's getting to the quarterback consistently, even though Miles Garrett hasn't really been getting sacks at all. He's getting just like 10x teamed on every single snap. Um, he's having to like come up with like teleportation, like jab step, euro step, like pass rush moves because he's getting double teamed so much. Um,
Mhm.
yeah, I mean Mason Graham's been pretty good, and like whatever else they made a lot of trades this past week. The big storyline here is the quarterback situation. You start out with Flacco in the season; he was not good. You trade him to the Bengals, which such an insane trade. Tomlin said something about it the other day, saying like, "How are you going to trade your quarterback that you went into the season with as your QB1 to your division rival who is struggling at quarterback?" Like, you just don't do that. Like, and I completely agree. If Jalen Hurts went down and the Giants traded Russ to the Eagles, I'd be like, "What the hell are you doing?" Like, it's not even like Russ is particularly good, but it's just like, why would you ever try to help them out unless Russ is going there to tank the season? Like, don't make that trade. So that was a bad trade. It was good to get off Flacco, but it was a bad trade that you shouldn't give him to your division rival. Um, and it looked like that Bengals offense kind of like back to life a little bit with Flacco there. Um, yeah, so Flacco's bad. They move in with Dylan Gabriel. He's been just not good either. He can't throw within the numbers. He doesn't really have much good anticipation. He doesn't have much power. He doesn't have a deep ball. Dylan Gabriel sucks. I don't know how he got drafted in the first place. It's Shador time. It is 100%. It like probably. I mean, I could pull up the Browns schedule really quick here. I think that we're gonna see Shador starting sooner or later. The chants are gonna get louder. They're 1-5, three straight losses. Like, I mean, Dolphins this week, that's a winnable game. But like Patriots, I mean, they play the Jets in 3 weeks. That's a winnable game. Raiders, the Titans. Wow, this is an easy schedule. Um, but whatever. I mean, I really don't care if they win or lose in any given week. Yeah, so I expect to see Shador soon. Like I said, Mason Graham's been good, and Quinshon Judkins, he's been pretty good so far this season. He had like 1 week of a slow start because he didn't have the whole training camp, preseason, and all that. But he's like bounced back pretty instantly, and he's been a really productive running back this season. Harold Fannon's looked pretty good too, and that's really all I can say. Do you think that they move on? Do you think that they clean house this offseason?
Who knows? I mean, it's the most despicable franchise in all of sports, maybe. Like, it's just I can't even like talk about the Browns without just like my brain shutting off because
Yeah.
it's such a bad team every year, and the league's better when the Browns suck because it means you don't have to talk about the Cleveland Browns at all.
Joe
So
Flacco, 31.8 QBR this season. That's crazy.
yeah,
Averaging
it's just
13
like
points scored per game. That's
Dylan
super abysmal.
Gabriel's your starting quarterback. He's like the most obvious career backup ever. He will never be a positive starter anywhere.
Mhm.
All I have to say about the Browns is this: it's time. Let's go. But I will not say anything else about that team. It's just
Yeah.
dreadful talking about them.
Yeah, haven't
And
scored over 17 points in a game this season yet, by the way. That's the last
the
thing
team
I'll
we're
say.
going to talk about next is also dreadful to talk about. The last team on the list, the AFC North, the Baltimore Ravens. This team
Yes.
has drove me absolutely insane this season. Horrible luck, but my takeaway from them is this is the worst coaching staff in the entire NFL, and it is time to fire every single person, the head coach, the coordinators, the position group coaches, the trainers, the ball boy, whoever sprays the Gatorade in the players' mouths when they come to the sideline. Fire literally every single person involved with this franchise for wasting what was supposed to be a roster with 60 all pros on it. This is just disgusting incompetence. And like Zach Orr, like just complete numbskull defensive coordinator, um, just like doesn't know how to teach his linebackers how to do anything. They can't stop a run inside for anything. Like it's the most frustrating team to watch in the league with how much talent they have. And I know they're injured right now, so it's like impossible to really assess how good they are at this moment. But like
Yeah.
when Lamar was in and they had all their defenders healthy, like their defense could not stop anything. I think the Browns' highest scoring game of the season is against the Ravens. Like that shows you how bad this defense is. And you know, when Lamar was healthy, they're putting up 35, 40, 41 points every single week.
Hmm.
Like, yeah, their offense is going to be insane when he comes back, but it's not going to matter because he's going to average 40 points a game and his defense is going to allow 45. So, honestly, I think this defense is the only thing in the league that can hold a candle to how bad the Cowboys are, which is sad considering the talent disparity on those two teams.
Yeah.
And that, so my takeaway for them is just literally fire everybody. Just, I like Harbaugh, don't want to see him in the city ever again. It's just everybody has to be gone, and it won't happen because Harbaugh's been there for like 18 years. But it needs to happen. Everybody has to be gone if they want to contend.
Yeah, I saw a Giants fan because the Giants are apparently looking to trade for a receiver post Malik Neighbors injury, and somebody said the Giants should trade for DeAndre Hopkins, and all I could think was like, imagine seeing this tweet a week before the season started, like, oh yeah, going into week 7, the Giants are gonna potentially trade for DeAndre Hopkins. Like, I'd be like, what? The Ravens are probably 6-1. Like, that's a receiver 3. Blah blah blah. And it's like, nope, they actually are worse than the Giants, worse record, worse team. Like, yeah, that's I don't know. The Ravens are a mess. It's there's like not even anything you could say because basically what you said it all. Like it's just they're so injured, and that's all it is. Like there's nothing. There's at the end of the day when this season's over, they're not going to be able to look back and be like, all right, well we learned this. It's like you didn't learn anything. You just wasted a year of everybody's life. Um, Another negative thing that we could talk about is Derrick Henry has clearly taken a step back. I said it after
Oh
week
man.
one. I said it after
Oh
week
man.
1, and you said it was a bad take, and at the time, I kind of took it back a little bit saying, like, maybe because he did just have, like, 200 yards and 2 touchdowns, but I felt like I could see that he took a step back in that game, and every week we have seen it get worse and worse and worse this season. A rampant fumbling problem with him. I feel like his top line speed is not there anymore. His ability to beat the first defender through contact is completely gone. Like, anybody can take him down one-on-one now, and it's been a, like, rapid, decrease in skill this season. I mean, we last year was worse than his 2,000-yard season, but it was still a really good year, and then this year was just, like, week by week, snap by snap, quarter by quarter, it's getting worse and worse, and I mean, maybe when Lamar comes back, it'll be a little bit better, but I still don't think it's gonna change that much.
No. This is a truly horrible football team. Like honestly, one of the worst one of the worst that Lamar has played on in his career, which is really saying something. So
Yeah.
um yeah, I don't think this team will make the playoffs. I think it's over. You know, their big thing that they had last year is they have this backfield that you can't stop in the run game. If you just guard Lamar on the read option, you'll win.
Mhm.
And yeah, it's just it's a shame and a waste of generational talent. And it's just like this team just it bothers me
Yeah.
as if they're my own. It truly hurts to watch them play football.
If so going into next year, let's say they don't make the playoffs, they finish with what are we gonna say? When Lamar comes back, they're gonna win some games. So the 10th pick,
Like
11th pick, 6th pick, like
6 wins.
somewhere, yeah, between like 7 and 12, we'll say. Um, like what are you going for? Receiver, I think is probably a major thing that they need to hit on.
Yeah, the receiver class this year is pretty good. I think they could get a receiver. I think you need a right guard. I think Falele is just
Yeah, like he's
awful. Like
unplayable.
the only guard who can touch Anthony Bradford in terms of horrible.
Yeah,
And
you need a corner.
edge rusher.
Um,
Oh, you know what?
yeah,
They got
edge
to address
rusher.
edge rusher. I think before receiver, before guard, before anything, because you can get those things through a trade a lot easier than you can an edge rusher. I think this is why they should have thrown the house at Micah Parsons, and people were like, like how much more help do they need? Apparently, they need a lot of it. So
Hmm.
you need an edge rusher. I think drafting one, developing him from, you know, the draft and on instead of just trading for somebody will be better. I think you need a new head coach. Obviously, I think that's the biggest thing they have to change this season. But yeah, as far as the draft goes, edge rusher is what I'd be looking at if I was them. Also, Malachi Starks has just been awful so far. Like truly
Yeah,
looks lost on the field.
which it's been so surprising to me because I that was one of my favorite picks of the entire draft.
Me too.
He was one of my draft crushes. I really thought that he was going to come into the league and instantly day one be a like a true starter. And when he went to the Ravens, I thought this was just so perfect. Like him and
Yeah.
Kyle Hamilton is going to be such a dynamic duo, and has not been the case at all. Um, all right. Did
Ravens, man.
we? Yeah, Ravens, 100%. Anything else NFL related? I feel like we hit on all the
We got it.
teams.
We got
Six
it.
6 weeks. Let me look at the schedule for next week and see if we have any at least exciting games or something coming up. Pittsburgh at Cincinnati on Thursday night. Oh my god. Um.
Chills.
Uh. Man. Not none of these games are really exciting me.
Rams Jaguars probably won't be terrible.
It's 9:30. I'm not gonna be awake. Colts
Oh,
Chargers at
nice.
4:05 is gonna be a good
Yeah, that's a
game.
good game.
Uh.
Commanders Cowboys will be a good game. Falcons Niners will be a good Sunday night game, and then the two Monday night games are really good. So
Yeah, and I mean, honestly, Giants Denver could be a decent game. Maybe who knows? I think Denver
there's always a
seven
chance when you're playing
seven
Bo
points
Nix.
7 point spread for Denver is a little bit rich, but I don't know. Other sports news though. I mean, you kind of talked about baseball earlier on the top of the show. Um,
2 games away from the first World Series appearance in Mariners history.
man,
That's
if you, I think you guys are gonna get it done. I'm gonna be honest. It just feels
I
like
hope, man.
it feels like
Seattle
a
sports is
it
a
feels like a
very long
destiny
history of
season.
yeah, it has a very long history of ripping our heart outs at the finish line. So
Yeah. Um, Basketball starting up in just over a week now. I think like might be what 8 or 9 days now. I think it's starting. Maybe a little more. I don't remember what day of the week it starts. Uh, UFC since I mean there's been so many things I never talked about, but like Pereira got a big knockout win. Rob got his belt back. This past weekend, Charles Oliveira, Du Bronx, the GOAT, the greatest of all time, got another win. Back in the win column after getting fake AI knocked out by Ilya Topuria this summer. Um, College football, James Franklin got fired. That was kind of surprising.
Yeah,
Um,
I was surprised by that actually.
yeah, I mean,
It's just been a season from hell for Penn State.
yeah, like I understand why they did it, but it was just like a little bit. I don't know. They're looking at Brian Kelly to replace him, which is like I don't know why. Honestly, I don't know why he would do that. I feel like LSU is a big name school and it's better, so I don't know. Like you've got good job security there. But I guess he wants to just screw over another school, so he could do that. Um,
Yeah,
Outside of that, man, I don't really have anything else to say. We've got a NBA preview show. Probably my favorite podcast of the year is next week. Um, I love the season previews. Next one's gonna be a long show, so maybe we start it at 9 rather than 9:30 because it's gonna be a long
Yes.
show.
Yes,
We're
that'll be
going
one of our
through
classic 3 hour ones.
yeah all of our standings and all of our record predictions. Are, are or not sorry, not record. We're doing all of the standings and award predictions. Um,
Okay.
yeah,
Yeah.
not record predictions.
Record predictions, I might struggle with that one.
I mean, we might do like the over under. I might like just throw it out there
Okay.
each time, but
Yeah.
I don't know. That's a situation for next week. Is there anything else that you wanted to touch on?
I think that's it.
Daniel Caesar coming out with an album next week. I'm really excited about that. Yeah, I don't know. That's all I got. All right, until next week. Make sure to like, subscribe, and send the video to your mom. See you guys around.